Chapter 1087. Alright, I'll arrange for you to enter now. Then he waved his hand and a door of light appeared in front of him. Senior, how do I get back here after I get the second God Source Jade token? Su Chen asked before entering. Venerable Xinyuan smiled. When you get the second God Source Jade token, he'll bring you back here automatically. After getting Venerable Xinyuan's reply, Su Chen relaxed and stepped into the door of light. After a moment of dizziness, when his vision gradually cleared, Su Chen realized that he was in the middle of a mountain range. Thick trees stood in the surroundings, each of them hundreds of meters tall, covering the sky and the sun. Not far away there were occasional cries of wild beasts. Su Chen narrowed his eyes and looked around. Then he opened the planting space and communicated with the two immortal essence grasses. Little Blue, can you feel the location of the God Source Jade token? Master, I can feel it. It's right there, Little Blue said as he pointed in a direction. You lead the way. We'll go there immediately. Su Chen instructed. Then he took out the intelligent war chariot and entered it. Behind him, the intelligent war chariot flew in the direction that the immortal essence grasses had pointed. Along the way, Su Chen asked the intelligent war chariot, Satoshi, search around. Are there any void beasts around? It was now the day that the void secret land opened. Apart from himself, no one else from the myriad tribes would participate. However, there would definitely be a large number of people from the void beast side. If they encountered one, they could get rid of it and accumulate some fragments. Master, there are a large number of void beasts 10,000 miles ahead. There are about 100 of them, the intelligent war chariot immediately replied. Hearing this, Su Chen's eyes lit up. 100 void beasts did not seem like a lot. However, those that could enter the void secret land were definitely at the sage level. If all of them were killed, the fragments that would drop would not be less than 1 million. If exchanged for energy points, it would be 1 million. Adding the ones that he had obtained from the void ruins, the total number of energy points would reach 1,200,000. Exchanging for a level 19 full attribute fragment only cost 700,000 energy points. In this way he would be able to smoothly advance to the 8th stage saint rank, and would still have 500,000 energy points left. Satoshi, lock onto them and head over immediately, Su Chen ordered. Yes. The intelligent war chariot started moving at full speed. Just as he was about to approach the group of void beasts, the swift bird suddenly warned, Master, I sense a lot of precious ores and there's also a dangerous aura. Where is it? Su Chen asked. If there was something good, of course he couldn't miss it. As for those dangerous auras, he directly ignored them. In the void secret realm, there was also the power of the bounded domain. The highest cultivation level was only level 10. At the same level, no one would be able to threaten him. A place not far from the group of void beasts, the swift bird replied. Su Chen immediately thought that this group of void beasts must have come for the precious ores. However, since he had encountered them, all the good things would belong to him. 5 minutes later, the intelligent war chariot flew in front of the void beasts. Behind this group of void beasts, there was a huge black castle that emitted a majestic aura. Su Chen glanced outside, opened the door and walked out casually. Chapter 1088. Seeing a human suddenly appear in front of them, all the void beasts were stunned. Previously, they had received news that no one from the myriad tribes would enter the void secret realm. Then how did this human in front of them appear here? It's Su Chen of the human race. Suddenly, someone among the void beasts roared in shock. There were more than 100 void beasts here, and some of them had seen Su Chen before. What? He's Su Chen. Instantly, the void beasts were filled with a layer of fear. A person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. Su Chen's name was like thunder to their ears. Naturally, they had heard of him. It was rumored that Su Chen was abnormally strong and fearless. He had been in the void for less than a year, but he had already killed dozens of saint-level powerhouses. Until now, no one had been able to suppress him. Moreover, Su Chen had a special hatred for the void beasts. What was his purpose for appearing here now? Would he attack them? Su Chen, why are you here? A tall void beast stared at Su Chen warily and asked loudly. To enter the void secret realm, one had to enter from a specific entrance. Whether it was the void beasts or the myriad tribes, they all had powerhouses above stage 9 saint level. Their purpose was to prevent Su Chen from entering here. With the ability of a stage 9 saint level powerhouse, it was impossible for Su Chen to sneak in under their noses. Then how did Su Chen enter? Do you have the right to know how I got here? Su Chen curled his lips and said disdainfully. Su Chen, don't be too arrogant. At this moment, a short void beast walked up and glared at Su Chen. He sneered and said, "This is the void secret realm, not the void. Do you think one person is a match for us?" The other void beasts also came to their senses. In this place they could only use the strength of level 10 at most. Even if Su Chen's cultivation was higher, he would only be the same as them. On the other hand, they had 100 people. With 100 people against Su Chen, what was there to be afraid of? "Su Chen, are you here to die?" Thinking of this, all the void beasts became fearless. Some void beasts even began to clamor at Su Chen. "I'm here to kill you. Because in my eyes all of you are ants." Su Chen narrowed his eyes and said indifferently, "Shameless boasting. Arrogant." Instantly all the void beasts began to curse. Su Chen's arrogance infuriated them. Everyone's eyes were filled with bloodlust. It looked as if it wanted to tear Su Chen apart. 3 of the stronger void beasts looked at each other and then charged towards Su Chen. Killing Su Chen would definitely be a great achievement. In their opinion, even if the 3 of them couldn't kill Su Chen, suppressing Su Chen wouldn't be a problem. "You're overestimating yourselves." Su Chen sneered and instantly released his mind power. The 3 void beasts that charged towards Su Chen immediately fell into a swamp, and all their movements became sluggish. "Why is your mind power so strong?" One of the void beast's eyes was filled with fear as he roared. He really couldn't understand how Su Chen's mind power could easily crush the 3 of them when they were all level 10. "Because you're all trash." Su Chen sneered. He moved his feet and appeared in front of the void beast that spoke like a ghost. Then he threw a punch. There was a loud boom. The void beast was blasted into smithereens. Chapter 1089. Hiss. Witnessing this scene, the surrounding void beasts sucked in a breath of cold air. All the void beasts stared at Su Chen with their eyes wide open. Their eyes were filled with horror. At first, they thought that they could crush Su Chen at the same level. Who would have thought that Su Chen was still so strong at the same level? Su Chen did not stop after killing one void beast. He quickly attacked and killed the other 2 void beasts. Seeing Su Chen kill 3 powerhouses like a rabbit, all the void beasts began to panic. Although they had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers, Su Chen was too strong. Killing them was really no different from crushing ants. They could not summon the slightest bit of courage to resist. Soon, some void beasts had the thought of escaping. Once this thought appeared, it could no longer be suppressed. When the first void beast turned around and fled, the other void beasts followed suit. Su Chen's goal was to catch them all in one fell swoop. How could he let them escape? The next moment he pulled out the enchanted divine saber. He slashed in the air and a 3-colored torrent surged out. An extremely terrifying magic wave swept forward. Accompanied by a series of shrill screams, 70 to 80 void beasts were directly crushed. The remaining 20 were all seriously injured and had lost the ability to escape. Su Chen put away the enchanted divine saber, and slowly walked towards them. "Su Chen, spare our lives." A void beast knelt at Su Chen's feet and begged for mercy loudly. Su Chen's terrifying strength had already scared him out of his wits. Su Chen glanced at him as if he was looking at a fool. Then he punched out and exploded his head. "Su Chen, our godly state powerhouses won't let you off." The other void beasts knew that they could not survive and began to curse at Su Chen. "Sooner or later, your void beast race will be completely wiped out." Su Chen snorted coldly. He continued to attack and killed all the remaining void beasts. After collecting the fragments, his gaze landed on the Black Castle not far away. Swift Bird had said that there were many top-grade ores in Black Castle. Since he had encountered it, he naturally could not miss this opportunity. After a while he arrived at the gate of the castle. At this time the city gate was tightly shut, and there was a layer of energy halo flowing above it. It should be a formation. Su Chen didn't know much about arrays. After a quick glance, he threw a punch at the city gate. Accompanied by a violent rumble, the entire castle began to tremble. However, the defense of the city gate was still very strong. Su Chen's punch did not injure him at all. Interesting. Su Chen curled his lips and silently ran the heaven-reaching hundredfold vigorous technique. Just as he was about to throw a second punch, an angry roar came from within the castle. "You want to enter the emptiness castle without the bloodline of a void beast? Do you want to die?" Hearing this, Su Chen's thoughts slowly turned. From the other party's tone, this emptiness castle should be something left behind by a void beast almighty. It could even be a godly state void beast. Something left behind by a godly state existence would definitely not be simple. Thinking of this, Su Chen said coldly, "Open the city gate or I'll destroy the emptiness castle." "Ah, You, a weak human, want to destroy the emptiness castle? Will you die if you don't show off? A mocking voice came from within the emptiness castle. Su Chen rubbed his nose and did not say much. He threw a punch at the city gate. There was a loud rumble. The entire city gate was directly smashed into pieces, and a large part of the surrounding walls collapsed. Chapter 1090. Why is your strength so great? There was an exclamation from the All-Emptiness Castle. One must know that the All-Emptiness Castle itself was also a sacred tool, and its defensive power was very strong. Even if a sacred tool was used, it might not be destroyed. As for Su Chen, he could smash the city gate with a simple punch. From this, it could be seen how terrifying his strength was. Su Chen didn't pay attention to it, glanced at the All-Emptiness Castle and walked straight in. As soon as he entered, the first thing he saw was a hall exuding an ancient aura. Inside the hall, there was only a void beast phantom standing in it. Apart from that, there was nothing else. Who are you? Su Chen narrowed his eyes, glanced at the void beast phantom and asked in a loud voice. The void beast phantom snorted coldly, ignoring Su Chen's words, and then smiled gloomily. You broke my all-emptiness castle, how are you going to compensate? Compensation? Su Chen pinched his chin and said lightly, what if I don't compensate? Hee hee, the void beast silhouette sneered and suddenly flicked its finger. The next moment, 4 beams of light appeared around the hall, and after solidifying, 4 ugly puppets appeared. And each puppet exuded an unusually powerful aura, which had reached the level of pseudo-sacred. Su Chen let out a soft cry. The void secret realm clearly had the power of a domain. Why did these puppets have the cultivation base of a pseudo-sacred? Suddenly he thought of the Moonshine City. At the auction in the Moonshine City, the sacred tree of the elf race was not suppressed by the power of the domain. The All-Emptiness Castle obviously had similar functions as the Moonshine City. Although a little surprised, Su Chen didn't care. The other party wanted to suppress him with 4 pseudo-sacred puppets. The idea was a bit too naive. Boy, if you don't give enough compensation today, don't even think about taking a step out of here. The void beast phantom sneered. Seeing Su Chen in a daze, he thought that Su Chen was scared silly. Don't worry, I won't leave until I give you a layer of skin, Su Chen said calmly. There were definitely many top-grade ores hidden in the myriad emptiness castle. If he did not take all of them away, he would not give up. Seeing Su Chen so fearless, the void beast phantom was taken aback for a moment. It asked doubtfully, "You're not afraid?" No matter how strong Su Chen was, he was only a level 10 cultivator. How could he be so calm in the face of 4 pseudo-saint level puppets? He couldn't understand this at all. These puppets are no different from trash in my eyes. Why should I be afraid? Su Chen smiled faintly. Shameless boasting. The void beast snorted and pointed at one of the false holy puppets, ordering, "Take this human down. I want him alive." Yes. The false holy puppet responded and rushed towards Su Chen. Scram. Su Chen snorted coldly and suddenly punched out. The false holy puppet did not back down. It clenched its fist and fought Su Chen head-on. There was a loud bang. The false holy puppet was like a piece of paper and was directly smashed into pieces by Su Chen's punch. How could this be? Seeing this scene, the void beast phantom's eyes widened, and its scalp went numb. He really couldn't understand why a false holy puppet couldn't even withstand a punch from Su Chen. Were the levels just decorations? Just as the void beast phantom was in a daze, Su Chen moved and rushed towards the remaining 3 false holy puppets. Bang, 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 there were 3 consecutive explosions, and the 3 false holy puppets were all killed without exception. Chapter 1091. Seeing this, the void beast was completely dumbfounded. He had never seen such a terrifying human cultivator before. He could easily kill 4 false sacred puppets even though they were 1 level lower. He was so powerful that he could only be described as terrifying. Do you still want to take me down? Su Chen narrowed his eyes and looked coldly at the void beast's shadow. A mocking smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Go. The void beast swallowed his saliva and smiled bitterly. I admit defeat. His biggest reliance was the 4 false sacred puppets. After losing the 4 false sacred puppets, his cultivation was not even at level 10. He was even less than an ant in Su Chen's eyes. What could he use to fight with Su Chen? Tell me about your origin, Su Chen said. He suspected that the void beast's original body had also participated in the Void War. My name is Emperor of Emptiness. I was originally a godly state expert, but unfortunately I fell in the last Void War. Only a wisp of my divine soul is left, the void beast said with a sigh. As expected. Su Chen said to himself. Then he said, since you participated in the Void War, hand over all the ores. I won't make things difficult for you. The Void War 10,000 years ago was a battle with the ferocious beasts from the outer region. Anyone who participated in this battle was worthy of respect. Even if the other party was a void beast, he did not intend to attack. Human, the cultivation resources I have here are for the Void Beast clan. As a member of the myriad tribes, you should go to the venerable God Source, Emperor of Emptiness explained. Su Chen's face darkened. He snorted. Your Void Beast clan has teamed up with Heaven's Loose Taoist and opened the channel to the ferocious beasts. You still want to leave them cultivation resources? What? Emperor of Emptiness was extremely surprised and furious. In the Void War 10,000 years ago, in order to stop the ferocious beasts from entering, the godly state experts fought to the point of death. Now, his clansmen would take the initiative to open the channel and let the void beasts in? Once the ferocious beasts were let in, it would be a disaster. How could his clansmen be so stupid? Myriad Sky Emperor did not believe Su Chen's words and said coldly, Human, are you trying to cheat me of my cultivation resources? That's why you said that? Do I need to lie to you? Su Chen's face darkened. He did not intend to continue explaining. He said coldly, I'll give you one last chance. Hand over the thing, or I'll tear down your Myriad Emptiness castle. Myriad Sky Great Emperor was shocked. He had witnessed Su Chen's strength with his own eyes. If he was angry, he could indeed tear down the Myriad Empty castle. Sigh. The Emptiness Great Emperor sighed helplessly. He took out a storage bag and threw it to Su Chen. When Su Chen opened it, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. Not only were there a large number of top-grade ores in the storage bag, but there were also many spirit fruits and dozens of sacred weapons, which made him very satisfied. After getting the items, Su Chen didn't stay any longer and quickly left. As soon as he returned to the intelligent war chariot, he ordered, Satoshi, head to the original target. The main purpose of coming here was to find the second divine source jade token. He didn't want to waste any more time. Yes. The intelligent war chariot received the order and flew straight in a direction. A day later, the intelligent war chariot came to a stop above a valley. The immortal essence grass could clearly sense that the second divine source jade token was in the valley. However, this valley looked ordinary, but it was surrounded by a defensive barrier. If one wanted to enter, they had to first shatter it. Chapter 1092. Just as Su Chen was about to attack, a crack appeared in the defense shield. Then a man's voice came from inside. If you want to get the God Source Jade token, come in. Su Chen did not think too much about it. He kept the intelligent war chariot and flew into the valley. The area in the valley was not very big. It was barren all around and looked a little desolate. In the middle of the valley, there was a 3-meter-tall shadow. He exuded a majestic aura. Judging from his aura, he was a false sage. Moreover, Su Chen noticed that there was a huge jade token hanging behind the shadow. It was the God Source Jade token. Sigh. It's a human. The candidates chosen by the Honorable God Source are getting worse and worse. The shadow sized up Su Chen, shook his head and sighed. He seemed to be very disappointed with Su Chen's appearance. He did not take Su Chen seriously at all. How should I address you? Su Chen rubbed his nose and walked forward slowly. I am a heavenly patrol guard, the shadow replied. Then he said, if you want to get the God Source Jade token, you have to pass my test first. What test? Su Chen asked calmly. He had guessed that it would not be easy to get the God Source Jade token. Otherwise, after so many grand competitions of the 1,000 tribes, the winners would have gotten the God Source Jade token long ago. It's very simple. If you can survive 3 moves from me, you can take the God Source Jade token, the Heavenly Patrol Guard said casually. Is it really that simple? Su Chen was stunned. To him, even if he stood still, it would be difficult for the Heavenly Patrol Guard to hurt him, let alone take 3 moves from him. Actually, he had overlooked something. The cultivators of the 1,000 tribes who had entered in the past were all level 10 cultivators. They were not as powerful as he was. After all, the Heavenly Patrol Guard was a false sage. How difficult would it be to take 3 moves from a false sage? Most likely, he wouldn't even be able to withstand a single blow and would be killed. The Heavenly Patrol Guard snorted coldly and said, in the past, the cultivators of the myriad races who came here were all killed by me in 1 move. Do you think it's easy? Su Chen's disdain made him quite unhappy. A mere level 10 human dared to look down on him, a false saint. He was simply courting death. Don't be so long-winded. Hurry up. Su Chen did not explain further and urged him. Since the other party was looking down on him, he decided to give him a light punishment and teach him a lesson. Arrogant. The Sky Patrol guard's expression turned ferocious. He clenched his fist and smashed it at Su Qin. Before the fist arrived, a fierce fist wind swept towards Su Qin. Su Qin stood in place without moving an inch, and a faint disdainful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. You're courting death. Seeing Su Qin's expression, the Sky Patrol guard became even more furious. He couldn't help but increase his strength. However, just as his fist was about to touch Su Qin, a huge invisible force suddenly surged over. Instantly, he sank into a quagmire and all his movements became sluggish. Mental power. The Sky Patrol guard was inexplicably shocked. He had seen many spirit reader masters, but he had never heard of one as powerful as Su Qin. One had to know that he was a false sage and Su Qin was only level 10. In the case of being one level lower than him, he could still restrict him to the point that he couldn't move. From this, it could be seen that the strength of Su Qin's mental power was definitely far superior to those of the same level. It was even much stronger than a false sage. I'm not just a spirit reader master. Su Qin smiled faintly. Then he clenched his fist and blasted it at the Sky Patrol guard. Chapter 1093. You're still an evolver? The Sky Patrol guard exclaimed. His eyes were filled with deep fear. At that moment he could clearly feel that Su Qin's punch contained an extremely violent power. Even if he wasn't restrained, he didn't think he could block the punch, let alone now that he couldn't move. It's over. The Sky Patrol guard was already prepared to die. To his surprise, Su Qin's fist stopped just as it was about to hit his face. However, the wind from the punch still made his scalp go numb. You're not going to kill me? The Sky Patrol guard stared at Su Qin in a daze after coming back to his senses. If Su Qin wanted to kill him, it would be no different from killing an ant. Why didn't he kill him? He couldn't figure it out. Why should I kill you? Su Qin chuckled softly. He retracted his mind power and allowed the Sky Patrol guard to regain his freedom. His original intention was to teach the Sky Patrol guard a lesson. He didn't want to kill him. After all, the Sky Patrol guard had protected the God Source Jade countless times. He had worked hard even if he didn't get any credit. If he hadn't been guarding here, the God Source Jade would have been taken away long ago. It was also because of this that Su Qin spared his life. There are 2 more moves. Are you going to fight or not? If not, I'll take the God Source Jade. Su Qin looked at the Sky Patrol guard and said calmly. You win. Take the God Source Jade. The Sky Patrol guard smiled bitterly. He couldn't even fight back against Su Qin. He would be looking for trouble if he continued fighting. Su Qin nodded and walked to the God Source Jade token. He reached out and touched it. Suddenly, the God Source Jade flashed with a golden light and disappeared in midair. At the same time, a door of light appeared where it disappeared. The God Source Jade is gone? Su Qin was stunned. At that moment, the Sky Patrol guard reminded him, don't worry. This God Source Jade has already merged with the one you have. Hearing this, Su Qin quickly opened his storage bag to check. Indeed, the Divine Origin Jade token was bigger than before. After a while, he nodded at the Sky Patrol guard and stepped into the door of light. After another round of dizziness, Su Qin returned to the edge of the lake. Venerable Xinyuan also stood in the middle of the lake. The moment Su Qin appeared, he was abnormally excited. At first, he was a little worried that Su Qin would be killed by the Sky Patrol guards. Now it seemed that his worries were all in vain. Senior, please help me open the passage to the heavenly altar Huanyu, Su Qin said. Aren't you going to rest for a few days? Venerable Xinyuan frowned. In his opinion, even if Su Qin had obtained the second Divine Source Jade card, he must have had a huge battle with the Sky Patrol guard. At this time, it was best to recover his primordial chi and replenish his spirit before going to the heaven altar Huanyu. It was unwise to be in such a hurry. Why should he rest? Su Qin was confused. He said firmly, Senior, hurry up. I am full of energy now. He didn't want to waste time there. Although Wu Tsang could stop the Sky Patrol priest for half a year, he couldn't guarantee that. If there were any unforeseen events and the Sky Patrol priest killed his way here, it would be troublesome. Seeing that Su Qin was so insistent, Venerable Xinyuan didn't persuade him anymore. Soon he opened the passage to the heavenly altar Huanyu. Without the slightest hesitation, Su Qin stepped straight in. After a few breaths, Su Qin's vision gradually became clear and he realized that he had come to a desert. All he could see was yellow sand. Chapter 1094. Su Qin glanced around and opened the planting space to connect with the 2 immortal essence grasses. Xiaolan, Xiaoqing, can you sense the location of the God-sourced jade token? Master, I feel very weak. The God-sourced jade token should be very far away from us, or it's blocked by something, Xiaolan replied. Lead the way. We'll go immediately. As Su Chen spoke, he took out the intelligent war chariot. Under the guidance of the immortal essence grasses, the intelligent war chariot flew in a direction. On the way, Su Chen asked, Satoshi, search the surroundings. In an unfamiliar environment, it was better to be careful. Master, I didn't find anything, the intelligent war chariot immediately replied. Su Chen nodded and sat in the driver's seat. He began to organize the debris. A day later, the intelligent war chariot flew out of the desert. What appeared in front of them were towering stone pillars. From afar, it looked like a stone forest. At this moment, the intelligent war chariot also reminded him, Master, we found a large number of cultivators from the myriad races 50,000 miles ahead. Cultivators from the myriad races? Su Chen pondered for a moment and asked, Are they on the way? If it was on the way, he could go and take a look. If it was not, there was no need. After all, finding the God-sourced jade token was the most important thing. Yes, the intelligent war chariot replied affirmatively. Then let's go and take a look, Su Chen muttered. After more than an hour, the intelligent war chariot arrived at its destination. Su Chen looked outside and saw thousands of cultivators from the myriad races gathered in a basin. At this moment, they were facing a stone statue and kneeling devoutly. Su Chen felt that there should be some special ceremony held here, so he did not pay much attention to it. Just as he was about to leave, the swift bird suddenly reminded him, Master, there's an emerald star stone in that stone statue. What's an emerald star stone? Su Chen raised his eyebrows. Anything that could be mentioned by Swift Bird was of high value and had already piqued his interest. The emerald star stone can be used to store the power of faith. In addition, it can also help spiritual pets level up. Spiritual pets below the divine realm can level up by swallowing one stone, the Swift Bird explained. Hearing this, Su Chen's eyes lit up. After absorbing the energy of the Kongming stone, his spirit pets had leveled up, but their levels were still too low. Especially the awakened mythological beast that he had high hopes for. Until now, it was only at the 7th stage of the saint rank, and there was still a long way to go before it reached the divine realm. Since he had learned that there was something to improve the level of the spiritual pet, he naturally wouldn't miss it. Satoshi, go down, Su Chen ordered. Yes. The intelligent war chariot descended towards the basin. At this moment, the swift bird spoke again. Master, I feel that the stone statue isn't simple. It seems to contain a very evil power. It's all right. Su Chen did not care at all. With its ancient godfiend body, he could restrain all evil demons and monsters, so there was no need to worry about that at all. After the intelligent war chariot landed in a grandiose manner, it immediately caused a huge commotion in the basin. All the cultivators of the myriad races looked at the intelligent war chariot with incomparable anger in their eyes. This was the place where they worshipped the god of evil, and there were actually outsiders who swaggered in. They were simply courting death. The moment Su Chen opened the door and walked out, he suddenly felt countless sharp gazes directed at him. These guys hate me very much. Su Chen pursed his lips, ignored them, and walked straight towards the stone statue. Stop. Suddenly, a loud roar resounded in Su Chen's ears. Su Chen stopped and turned his head, only to see a titan glaring at him like a tiger eyeing its prey. Judging from the aura emitted by the other party, it had reached level 10. Chapter 1095. Human, who are you? Who allowed you to come here? The Titan giant shouted coldly. The other myriad races cultivators also glared at Su Chen. I'll take something and leave. You'd better not ask for trouble. Su Chen snorted and continued walking toward the stone statue. You're courting death. The cultivators of the myriad races were enraged. Not only did Su Chen trespass here, but he also did not take them seriously. He was too arrogant. All the myriad races cultivators could not take it anymore and clamored. Since you won't say it, then go to hell. The Titan giant laughed sinisterly and flew in front of Su Chen. He clenched his huge fist and smashed it down. You're courting death. Su Chen smiled contemptuously and also punched out. Seeing that Su Chen dared to fight the Titan giant head-on, all the myriad races cultivators had mocking looks on their faces. The Titan giant was the most powerful race among the myriad races. The power of one punch was tens of thousands of kilograms, enough to destroy everything. On the other hand, Su Chen was just a weak human. How could he fight the Titan Giant head-on? In their opinion, as long as the Titan Giant punched, Su Chen would be smashed into pieces. Bang! In the next moment, the two fists collided rapidly, making an intense sound of collision. However, to everyone's surprise, the expected scene of Su Chen being smashed into pieces by one punch did not happen. Instead, the Titan Giant's fist and entire arm were smashed into pieces. Hiss! The sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard all around. The eyes of all the cultivators of the 10,000 races were filled with deep confusion and fear. They couldn't understand how a weak human had managed to crush a Titan. Ah! The Titan Giant, who had lost an arm, screamed and retreated continuously. He only stopped after retreating dozens of steps and looked at Su Chen in horror. Su Chen narrowed his eyes as he scanned the Titan Giant, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. Since the Titan Giant dared to take the initiative to attack him, he had no intention of letting him go. All of a sudden, his foot moved and he vanished on the spot like a ghost. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the Titan Giant. Your speed! The Titan's heart pounded violently, but before he could react, he saw Su Chen's punch coming at him. This punch was as fast as lightning. There was a loud explosion. The Titan was blasted into smithereens. What terrifying strength! How cruel! All the cultivators of the myriad clans were stunned. Their eyes looking at Su Chen were completely covered by a layer of horror. After collecting the fragments, Su Chen once again walked towards the stone statue. When he was 10 steps away from the stone statue's closed eyes suddenly opened, emitting a strong bloodthirsty aura, and shot an evil light directly at Su Chen. Human, why aren't you kneeling when you see me? When that evil light landed on Su Chen, the stone statue suddenly snorted coldly. Who do you think you are? Su Chen pursed his lips and smiled contemptuously. Did the other party think that he could crush him with just an evil light? He was too naive. You're actually not affected? The evil god stone statue widened its eyes in shock and bewilderment. The evil light could seize one's mind. Once touched, one would lose their consciousness and become a puppet under his control. In the past, using the evil light had always been successful. It was the first time he had encountered someone like Su Chen who was not affected at all. Hand over the Emerald Star Stone and I can give you a quick death. Su Chen stared at the stone statue of the evil god and said coldly. Chapter 1096. Wishful Thinking. The stone statue of the evil god was enraged. Countless evil lights shot out from its eyes. However, the evil light was not directed at Su Chen. Instead, it landed on the cultivators of the myriad races around him. Human, you can go to hell now. The stone statue of the evil god sneered. It pointed at Su Chen and ordered the cultivators around him. Attack together and kill him. Su Chen was powerful. However, there were thousands of cultivators around. Among them, there were hundreds of level 10 cultivators. If they attacked together, Su Chen would not be able to survive no matter how powerful he was. You're too naive. Su Chen sneered. Then he opened the pet rearing space and chaos space. A group of spirit pets, Chi Mufeng and the others filed out. So many powerhouses. The stone statue of the evil god was stunned. He could clearly see that the flaming phoenix and other spiritual pets, as well as Chi Mufeng and the others, had all reached level 10. With them joining in, wanting to besiege and kill Su Chen was clearly impossible. Thinking of this, he wanted to escape, because Su Chen gave him the feeling that he was too dangerous and too strange. Not only was he powerful, but he could also ignore the evil lights. This gave him a lot of pressure. He did not have the slightest confidence that he could defeat Su Chen. Kill all these mutated tribesmen. After Su Chen gave the order, he turned to look at the stone statue of the evil god. A mocking smile appeared on his face. The stone statue of the evil god was shocked. He turned around and ran. However, how could his speed be compared to Su Chen's? Before he could run a few steps, Su Chen caught up with him. Human, do you really want to fight to the death with me? Seeing that he could not escape, the stone statue of the evil god roared at Su Chen angrily. Fight to the death with me? Do you have the ability? Su Chen sneered. Then he released his mind energy and swept it toward the stone statue of the evil god. I'll fight to the death with you. The stone statue of the evil god gritted his teeth. Suddenly, a bright crystal light appeared on his body. The mind energies that pounced over were destroyed the moment they came into contact with it. Ah, human, now you know how powerful I am? The stone statue of the evil god laughed. He released the power of faith. He did not think Su Chen could defeat him. I told you that you were naive, but you did not believe me. Su Chen smiled faintly and threw out a mini golden city. It was the City of Faith. City of the Faith was the nemesis of the power of faith. As soon as it appeared, it released a powerful suction force. In the blink of an eye, the power of faith released by the evil god stone statue was sucked clean. What is this thing? The stone statue of the evil god. Stone, evil stone. The power of faith was his strongest trump card. Without this trump card, what could he use to fight Su Chen? Su Chen put away the City of the Faith. A purple light flashed under his feet, and his figure disappeared instantly. In the next moment he was in front of the stone statue of the evil god. Before the stone statue of the evil god could react, he slashed down. Wuxia. The head of the stone statue of the evil god flew into the sky, and the life aura on its body was quickly extinguished. Su Chen then cut open the body of the stone statue of the evil god and dug out a gem shining with starlight from it. After looking at it carefully, he contacted Swift Bird and asked, "Xiao Sun, is this gem an emerald star stone?" "Yes." Swift Bird replied affirmatively. Hearing this, Su Chen's lips curled up slightly. Then, he called the awakened divine beast to his side and gave it the emerald star stone. "Thank you, Master." The awakened divine beast was overjoyed and thanked him. Su Chen nodded and then joined the ranks of the mutated race. Chapter 1097. 10 minutes later, all the foreign tribesmen were killed. Su Chen collected the fragments and returned to the intelligent war chariot. He continued to fly toward the God-sourced jade token. After flying for 3 days, a vast ocean appeared in front of him. Satoshi searched the area. "Are there any sea beasts?" Su Chen asked. If there were enough sea beasts, he could kill a group of them. "Master, there are very few sea beasts and they are scattered," the intelligent war chariot immediately replied. "Let's continue," Su Chen ordered. He would not waste time on such a small number of sea beasts. The intelligent war chariot flew for half a day, and a huge island gradually appeared in front of them. Tall mountains could be vaguely seen on the island, and they pierced through the clouds. It was a shocking sight. "Master, I feel that the God-sourced jade token is on that island." At this moment, the immortal essence grass suddenly reminded him. "I finally found it." Su Chen heaved a sigh of relief and said to the intelligent war chariot, "Satoshi, enter the island immediately." "Yes." The intelligent war chariot sped up and charged toward the island. When they reached the island, they saw that the island was surrounded by a layer of energy shield. Lightning flashed on it and it emitted a terrifying energy wave. "Satoshi, can we charge in?" Su Chen asked. "Master, it has been suppressed to level 10. It will be difficult to charge in," the intelligent war chariot said. "Let me do it." Su Chen nodded, opened the door and walked out. Then he put the intelligent war chariot away. At the same level, his defense was much higher than the intelligent war chariot's. Furthermore, he had many tricks up his sleeves. It was not a big problem to break this layer of energy shield. Su Chen quickly flew to the island and sized up the energy shield. Then he took out the chaotic sky-splitting sword and slashed at it. There was a crisp crack. A crack of about 10 feet in size appeared on the energy shield. Su Chen seized the opportunity and flew into the crack. Upon entering the island, the swift bird suddenly warned loudly, "Master, there's a very powerful existence not far away." "How strong is he?" Su Chen said indifferently. "9th stage saint rank." Swift Bird immediately replied. Su Chen raised his eyebrows and quickly checked his cultivation. When he discovered that his cultivation had returned to the 7th stage of the Saint Realm, he let out a long sigh of relief. This island must have formed a world of its own and was not suppressed by the power of the boundary. "Little blue, little green, where is the divine origin jade token?" Su Chen asked. Right now, the most important thing was to find the God's Origin Jade card. It wouldn't be too late to fight that 9th stage saint level expert after he found the God's Origin Jade card. "Master, it's not far ahead," Xiaolon replied. "Also in front?" Su Chen narrowed his eyes. According to what the Swift Bird and the Immortal Essence Grass said, the God's Origin Jade card and the 9th stage saint level expert might be in the same place. Could it be that another heavenly patrol guard was guarding the God's Origin Jade card? Su Chen had his suspicions but did not think too much about it. No matter what, he would find out once he went over to check. Then he flew straight ahead. A few minutes later, a huge valley appeared in front of him. There was a God's Origin Jade card hanging in the middle of the valley. Other than that, Su Chen also saw a heavenly patrol guard. However, he was kneeling at the foot of a stone statue and looked very pathetic. Evil God Stone Statue. When Su Chen saw the stone statue, his eyelids twitched. He saw clearly that the stone statue in the valley was exactly the same as the one he had killed. The only difference was that the stone statue in front of him was taller and more powerful. Chapter 1098. Shao Sun, is this evil god stone statue the stage 9 saint? Su Chen asked. There were only the evil god stone statue and the sky patrol guards in the valley. Most of the sky patrol guards wouldn't have such a high cultivation level. The only one left was the evil god stone statue. Yes. Swift Bird answered affirmatively. After confirming, Su Chen didn't think too much and walked toward the god source jade token. When he got close, the evil god stone statue suddenly opened its eyes. Human, you dare to come here after killing my clone. You have some guts. The evil god stone statue stared at Su Chen and smiled. I'm here for the god source jade token. You'd better behave yourself. Otherwise, I don't mind killing you here. Su Chen's face didn't change as he said calmly. Kill me? The evil god stone statue's expression froze. Then it became arrogant. Human, do you know what kind of existence I am? You want to kill me? Do you have the ability to do so? Previously, through the information sent by the clone, Su Chen was only a level 10 cultivator. As for him, he was a 9th stage saint ranker. Therefore he treated Su Chen like an ant. The Sky Patrol guard, who was kneeling on the ground, sighed deeply. He thought that Su Chen didn't know the evil god stone statue's cultivation level at all. That was why he dared to boast so shamelessly. You're just a stage 9 saint. What's there to boast about? Su Chen curled his lips and said disdainfully. To others, a stage 9 saint was indeed a super powerhouse. But in his eyes, it was still not enough. You actually know my cultivation level? The evil god stone statue was stunned for a moment and looked at Su Chen in a daze. He suspected that Su Chen was hiding his cultivation level and that he was also a super powerhouse. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to come here so rashly. And he wouldn't have appeared so calm. The Sky Patrol guard's eyes suddenly flashed with a hint of hope. If Su Chen was really an expert and could defeat the evil god statue, then that would be the case. Then he would be saved. Human, you're also a saint-level expert, aren't you? The statue stared at Su Chen and asked coldly. Of course, I wouldn't dare to come if I wasn't a saint. Su Chen admitted generously and released the aura of a 7th-level saint rank. 7th-level saint realm. The evil god stone statue was shocked. Su Chen looked like he was only 20 years old. To have this kind of cultivation at such a young age, he could indeed be called a genius. However, there was still a gap of 2 levels between them. Wanting to kill him was no different from wishful thinking. Level 7 saint level. What a pity, the Heavenly Patrol guard sighed again. Originally he still had a trace of hope. However, after Su Chen revealed his cultivation, this glimmer of hope was completely extinguished. Because in his opinion, Su Chen was definitely not a match for the evil god stone statue. If he fought it head-on, he would probably be killed in one move. Boy, you want to kill me with your cultivation level? Don't you think you're ridiculous? The evil god stone statue sneered. Then its face darkened and it said sternly, kneel down and be my slave now, and I'll consider sparing your life. You think too highly of yourself. Su Chen snorted coldly and suddenly used the Atlas shape-shifting technique. After his body rose to 30 meters, a terrifying aura spread out. Shape-shifting technique. 8th level saint level. The evil god stone statue was shocked. However, it recovered quickly and sneered, so what if you've reached 8th level saint level? You're still an ant in my eyes. Su Chen didn't say anything more. His foot moved and like a graceful swan, he rushed straight towards the evil god statue. Chapter 1099. He's so fast. The evil god stone statue's eyelids twitched violently. Su Chen was only a stage 8 saint level, but the speed he displayed was even faster than a stage 9 saint level, which made the guard's heart palpitate. Just as Su Chen was about to reach him, he raised his hand and threw a punch. The punch seemed ordinary, but it wasn't. It contained a violent power that could tear space apart. The moment the punch was thrown, the space around him started to distort. Seeing this, Su Chen was not afraid at all. He operated the long-arm golden scales and the through heaven hundredfold vigorous technique, and also attacked fiercely without the slightest intention of retreating. It's over. The guard sighed when he saw that Su Chen had chosen to fight head-on. Go to hell. The evil god stone statue's eyes were ferocious. This punch was one of his trump cards and its power was unparalleled. Even a stage 10 saint level wouldn't dare to underestimate it. Su Chen was only a stage 8 saint level, but he dared to fight it head-on. He was undoubtedly courting death. In the next moment, the two fists collided violently. There was a loud boom. A hurricane was created at the center of the two fists. The hurricane swept out in all directions, and the entire valley started to tremble. The guard, who was kneeling on the ground, was forced to lie flat on the ground under the pressure of the impact. He was trembling all over. Ah! All of a sudden, a shrill scream entered his ears. At first he thought that it was Su Qin who had screamed. However, when he saw the scene in front of him clearly, he was completely stunned. He saw that the evil god stone statue's entire arm and half of its body had been shattered. It looked very miserable. The evil god stone statue was beaten to such a state? The guard's mouth was wide open. He was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Human, why are your physical body and strength so strong? The evil god stone statue looked at Su Qin in horror. He had never thought that he would still be defeated after using his trump card. Moreover, he had even suffered heavy injuries. How powerful was this human in front of him? Why do you know so much when you're about to die? Su Qin curled his lips and slowly walked towards the heretical god statue. Human, you can take the divine source jade token. Seeing that Su Qin still wanted to continue attacking, the heretical god stone statue admitted defeat. Do you think I'll stop? Su Qin sneered. If the heretical god stone statue had been so tactful from the start, he might have considered it. Now that the killing intent had been ignited, there was no way to restrain it. You forced me to do this. The evil god stone statue roared and the remaining half of its body suddenly exploded. Then a huge demonic beast shadow appeared in the air. This shadow had a tiger-like head and a pair of millstone-sized eyes that emitted a bloodthirsty glow. Its body, which was hundreds of meters long, was like a mountain range that stretched across the sky. Moreover, his body was emitting a strong and ferocious aura, giving people a suffocating feeling. Master, this is the phantom of a divine beast emperor-level crimson soul tiger. His current cultivation is infinitely close to the 10th stage of the saint rank. The swift bird trembled as it reminded. Divine beast? Su Qin frowned slightly. There was a divine beast in the Temple of Heaven universe. He now suspected that the crimson soul tiger in front of him was that divine beast. Human, you can go to hell now. The crimson soul tiger roared angrily and opened its bloody mouth, pouncing towards Su Qin. Su Qin was still fearless. As the crimson soul tiger pounced on him, 100 divine swords with lightning appeared above his head. As Su Qin pointed his finger, the 100 divine swords merged into one and transformed into a huge sword that was over 30 meters long. It slashed down on the crimson soul tiger's head. Chapter 1100. What kind of killer move is this? The Emperor Tier Crimson Soul Tiger was scared out of its wits. Its entire body trembled violently. The combined power of 100 divine swords was enough to destroy the heavens and earth. Even though its cultivation level was infinitely close to stage 10 sage level, it did not have the slightest bit of confidence that it could block it. At this moment, it had the thought of running away immediately. However, the lightning-type divine swords were so fast that it did not have any time to escape. Helpless, it could only brace itself and choose to fight head-on. Boom! There was a loud explosion. The combined lightning-type divine swords heavily struck the Emperor Tier Crimson Soul Tiger's body, creating an earth-shattering explosion. At the same time, it created a violent shockwave that swept out in all directions. Long and narrow gullies appeared on the ground, and the Sky Patrol Guard was also blown over 100 meters away. The entire valley trembled continuously as if there was an earthquake. The surrounding mountains collapsed one after another. A large cloud of dust covered the sky. The scene at this moment was like the end of the world. After a long time, the dust settled. The Sky Patrol Guard widened his eyes and scanned the area with lingering fear. The entire valley was no longer the same as before. There were potholes everywhere and rocks were rolling down from the mountains. In the center of the valley, Su Qin stood tall like a god. His entire body exuded a deep and lofty aura. The Emperor Tier Crimson Soul Tiger that fought with him had disappeared without a trace. The Sky Patrol Guard could imagine that the Emperor Tier Crimson Soul Tiger must have been killed by Su Qian's sword. What terrifying power! The Sky Patrol Guard swallowed his saliva. His face was filled with shock. As the guardian of the God Source Jade Token, he had weathered many storms and seen many storms. It was his first time seeing such a terrifying killer move like Su Qian's. He could not calm down for a long time. On the other side, Su Qin heaved a sigh of relief. He squinted his eyes and scanned the surroundings. Finally, his gaze landed on the Sky Patrol Guard. He calmly called out, "Sky Patrol Guard, come over for a moment." The heavenly patrol guard quivered and quickly got up. He hurriedly came to Su Chen's side and said respectfully, "Senior, what are your orders?" After witnessing Su Chen's unparalleled strength, he did not dare to show the slightest disrespect. "There should be a God-state demonic beast's corpse here, right?" Su Chen asked calmly. "Senior, the Emperor-level Crimson Soul Tiger you killed was a deity-level demonic beast," the heavenly patrol guard replied. "Where's its main body?" Su Chen asked. He had only killed the spirit of the Emperor-grade Crimson Soul Tiger. His true body had yet to appear. In that cave. The Sky Patrol guard pointed at a half-collapsed cave not far away and said. Su Chen nodded slightly and asked, "There should be more origin stones here, right?" When he was in the Hidden Spirit sect, Venerable Master Golden Light had said that there might be origin stones in the Temple of Heaven. "I'm not sure about the specifics. The treasures of the Emperor-grade Crimson Soul Tiger are all hidden in that cave," the Heavenly Patrol guard replied. Su Chen did not ask any more questions and flew into the cave. As soon as he entered the cave, the first thing that entered his eyes was an incomparably huge skeleton. Although it was only a skeleton, the aura it emitted still made one's heart palpitate. Su Chen was sure that this was the skeleton of the Emperor-grade Crimson Soul Tiger. After putting it in his storage bag, he opened the pet breeding space and summoned the swift bird. He instructed it, "Shao Sun, search for the treasures here and find the whereabouts of the origin stones." Chapter 1101. As Swift Bird's cultivation level increased, its ability to sense treasures also became stronger. It did not take long for it to find an origin source stone and 2 emerald star stones. After obtaining 3 ores, Su Chen's mouth couldn't help but curl up. With the origin source stone he could revive the godly puppet. In addition to the emerald star stone that he had gotten previously, he had 3 emerald star stones. It was enough for an awakened divine beast to become a stage 10 sage. After devouring the bones of an emperor-level red soul tiger, he could quickly become a divine beast. An awakened divine beast in the divine beast could create a superpower and give it to a designated person. This was what Su Chen was looking forward to. Since he had achieved his goal, Su Chen did not stop. He quickly went to the God Source Jade token and grabbed it. The moment he touched it, the God Source Jade token disappeared in mid-air. Soon, a door of light appeared in mid-air. Su Chen looked at it and stepped in. After a moment of dizziness, Su Chen returned to the Void Relic and appeared at the side of the lake. "Su Chen, have you gathered the God Source Jade token?" Honorable God Source asked excitedly. Su Chen nodded and took out the complete God Source Jade token. "Do you want to enter the Mystery Land now or wait a few days?" Honorable God Source asked. Once the Mystery Land opened, one could not come out halfway. One had to wait for 3 months. "Now," Su Chen replied firmly. There was no time to lose. Wuxia could only buy him half a year's time. He could not slack off. "All right, I will open the Mystery Land now." Honorable God Source did not beat around the bush. He pointed at the God Source Jade token and muttered a few words in midair. The God Source Jade token flew into midair and gave off a brilliant light. After a few breaths, the God Source Jade token disappeared and was replaced by a golden door of light. "Su Chen, hurry up," Honorable God Source reminded him. "Senior, I will go in now." Su Chen took a deep breath and stepped into the light door. In the next moment he found himself in a valley. The surroundings were filled with trees and flowers, and the air was exceptionally fresh. Moreover, there was even a faint fluctuation of spiritual energy. Su Chen narrowed his eyes and scanned the surroundings. When his gaze landed on the center of the valley, his entire expression became sluggish. In the center of the valley stood 2 small hills, but these 2 hills were not ordinary hills. One of them was filled with ores, energy stones and other cultivation resources. As for the other one, it was filled with saint artifacts. Even with Su Chen's vast experience and knowledge, he could not remain calm at this moment. Venerable Xinyuan had said that there was a large amount of cultivation resources stored in the Mystery Land, but he had not expected there to be so many of them. It could be said that with so many cultivation resources, both the spiritual pets and the people in the chaos space could be promoted to a very high level. After being in a daze for a while, Su Chen opened the pet breeding space in the chaos space and summoned all the spiritual pets and people. Coming to an unfamiliar environment, Qi Mufeng and the rest were confused at first. However, when they saw the mountain of cultivation resources and saint artifacts, all of them were stunned. "Su Chen, what is this place? What happened?" Qi Qingxuan came to Su Chen's side and asked in a trembling voice. Su Chen did not hide anything and told him everything that had happened in the Mystery Land. When they found out that they could cultivate in peace for 100 years, everyone was extremely excited. They could imagine that with endless cultivation resources and 100 years of cultivation, their abilities would definitely soar greatly. Chapter 1102. After a while, Su Qin began to distribute the cultivation resources and let everyone choose a suitable sacred weapon. After receiving the cultivation resources, everyone found a place to cultivate in full swing. Su Qin came to Wu Yazi's side and asked in a low voice, "Senior, how's the forging of the sacred swords?" 10,000 swords as one was a great ability, and its power was definitely several times greater than 100 swords as one. However, it required 5,000 sacred swords, which was still very difficult. Even if they had 100 years, they might not be able to forge it. "We forged another 320, Wu Yazi said in a deep voice. After all, sacred swords were not ordinary weapons. These days he had led 10 master blacksmiths to forge them day and night, but they had only forged so many. Su Qin was quite satisfied with this result. Wu Yazi and the others had been forging sacred swords for less than a year. In addition to the previous 100 swords, there were more than 400 swords. At this speed they could forge 5,000 swords in more than 10 years. "Senior, thank you for your hard work," Su Qin said gratefully. "We're on the same side." "No need to be polite," Wu Yazi said with a smile. Su Qin was a great benefactor to him. First, he gave him the longevity fruit to extend his life. Then he gave him the constitution potion to help him level up. Moreover, he had helped him kill Ji Tsangzi and take revenge. Therefore, helping Su Qin forge sacred swords was a matter of course. Later, Su Qin sent Wu Yazi and the 10 master blacksmiths of the dwarf race into the chaos space and began to organize the fragments. 3 hours later, he finished organizing all the fragments and exchanged them for energy points. The total number of energy points was a huge 1 million. It seemed a lot, but it was only enough to exchange for one level 19 all attributes fragment. This was because one level 19 all attributes fragment required 700,000 energy points. However, there were still many sacred weapons in his storage bag. In addition to the ones in the secret realm, he could get at least 1 million energy points after all of them were broken down and converted. There was no problem in advancing to the 9th stage of the sacred level, but it would be a little difficult to advance to the 10th stage. Su Qin thought for a while and quickly came up with a solution. He had a greater Kiliacosm lightning light stone that weighed several 100,000 kilograms. Even if he forged 5,000 sacred swords, there would still be a large portion of it left. As for the remaining portion, Wu Yazi would continue to forge sacred artifacts and convert them into energy points through that sacred artifact decomposition converter. It wouldn't be a problem to exchange them for a level 21 full attribute fragment. Thinking of this, Su Qin relaxed. After that, he was not in a hurry to cultivate. Instead, he planned to play with Tan Lin and Yang Chen for a few days. In any case, his method of advancement was relatively simple, so resting for a few days wouldn't be a problem. Time flew by like a shuttle. In the blink of an eye, 100 years had passed. After 100 years of continuous cultivation, everyone was able to enter the realm as if they were flying. Qi Qingshuan and Shang Chuishan had both reached the 10th level of the Saint Realm. Qi Mufeng and Qi Muliai had reached the 9th stage of the Saint Realm. Even Han Feng and the others who had the lowest cultivation had advanced to the 1st stage of the Saint Realm. In this way, everyone became a Saint stage expert. As for the spiritual pets, apart from the 3 mutated wolves that were at the 3rd stage of the Saint Realm, the awakened divine beasts had successfully advanced to the God Realm. The remaining spiritual pets and the 3 strange flames were all at the 10th stage of the Saint Realm. In addition, the intelligent chariot, the golden puppet and the mechanical soldier had all advanced to the 10th stage of the Saint Realm. The godly puppet had already woken up after the origin stone was installed. Chapter 1103. Su Qin had also reached the 10th stage of the Saint level. And he had also successfully practiced the unification of 10,000 swords and the astral storm, a great divine skill given by the awakened divine beast. The astral storm was a divine skill of punching. At that time when he obtained this magical power, he tested it in the chaos space, and almost destroyed the chaos space with a punch. Its power was unparalleled, not inferior to that of the unification of 10,000 swords. Since then, Su Qin could be considered to have 2 powerful trump cards. In addition, the spiritual plants in the planting space had matured one after another, and Su Qin had taken spiritual fruits several times. His spiritual force, physical strength, and strength had been greatly improved. Although he hadn't reached the divine realm yet, with his strength, all the people, spiritual pets and puppets in the secret realm together wouldn't be his match. Once he reached the divine realm with the help of the Atlas shapeshifting skill, those divine realm experts were no different from ants in his eyes. Heaven-scattering Taoist. I'm looking forward to the moment when I meet you. Suchin narrowed his eyes and murmured. Once the 100 years were up, Suchin put everyone into the chaos space, and then teleported out of the secret realm. When he reappeared, he was still at the edge of the lake. Suchin, how are you? Seeing Suchin appear in front of him, Venerable Xinyuan asked immediately. I've reached the 10th stage of the saint level, Suchin whispered. He's really a genius. Venerable Xinyuan secretly sighed with emotion. However, he was still very worried. Although there was only one level between the 10th stage of the saint level and the divine realm, the gap was huge. Generally speaking, even if dozens of people at the 10th stage of the saint level joined forces, they would not be a match for a divine realm expert. Therefore, even if Suchin had reached the 10th stage of the saint level, Venerable Xinyuan did not think that Suchin could change the current situation. Senior, how can I get out of here? Suchin asked. His cultivation had soared, and it was time to go out and teach heaven-scattering Taoist and the Void Beast a lesson. So urgent? Venerable Xinyuan frowned slightly. After all, Suchin was only a 10th stage saint level. Once he left the Void Secret Realm and encountered a deity realm expert, he would be easily killed. Why don't you continue to cultivate for a while? Venerable Xinyuan advised. There's no need. If we delay for too long, Senior Wu Tsang might not be able to withstand it, Suchin replied. Wu Tsang had to face so many powerhouses of the heaven-scattering Taoist alone. It was imaginable how much pressure he was under. He had to go and support them as soon as possible. Venerable Xinyuan was a little confused. Even Wu Tsang, a God Realm expert, couldn't solve it. Suchin, who was only a 10th stage Saint Realm expert, what use could he be? However, since Suchin had made the request, it was inappropriate for him to say anything more. He then opened the passageway to the outside world. Suchin took out the intelligent war chariot. Just as he was about to leave, Venerable Xinyuan said, Suchin, I want to go with you. He had been guarding the Void Secret Realm for over 1,000 years and had completed his mission. There was no point in staying here any longer. He might as well go out and explore with Suchin. Suchin did not refuse. After inviting Venerable Xinyuan to get in the car, he ordered the intelligent war chariot, Satoshi, leave this place. Yes. The intelligent war chariot received the order and quickly left the Void Secret Realm. When they came out of the passageway, the outside world was still the vast meteorite group. Master, where are we going? The intelligent war chariot asked. Suchin thought for a moment and replied, let's go to the Silent Sound Island first. The Silent Sound Island was the territory of the Void Beast. He had long planned to destroy it. Chapter 1104. Behind him, the intelligent war chariot locked onto Silent Sound Island and quickly flew over. After being promoted to level 21, it was as fast as lightning. In less than an hour, it arrived at Silent Sound Island. Satoshi, search Silent Sound Island. What's the level of the strongest person there? Suchin glanced at Silent Sound Island and ordered. Master, the strongest person there is a Void Beast at level 10 of the Holy Stage, the intelligent war chariot immediately replied. Suchin nodded and said lightly, fly in. Without saying anything, the intelligent war chariot flew directly over Silent Sound Island. Suchin, are you going to start a massacre on Silent Sound Island? Venerable Xinyuan was startled. Silent Sound Island was the territory of the Void Beasts, and there was a Void Beast at level 10 of the Holy Stage guarding it. The combat capability of the Void Beasts was far beyond that of the practitioners of all clans. He did not think that Suchin would be a match for them. Moreover, the current situation was very dangerous. Once a battle broke out, their whereabouts would definitely be exposed. At that time, it was very likely that there would be God State experts chasing after them. Therefore, in his opinion, Suchin's behavior was very irrational. He even wondered if Suchin was a little arrogant because he had been promoted to level 10 of the Holy Stage. Since the Void Beasts have joined forces with heaven-scattering Taoist, of course, I have to destroy them all, Suchin said matter-of-factly. But, when Venerable Xinyuan was about to persuade him, the intelligent war chariot suddenly reminded him, Master, the Void Beast at level 10 of the Holy Stage is coming with 2 Void Beasts at level 9 of the Holy Stage. I see. Suchin replied flatly. Then he opened the door and walked out alone. Alas. Seeing Suchin's stubbornness, Venerable Xinyuan sighed deeply. Suchin, it's you? When the three void beasts came close and saw that it was Su Chen, they were stunned at first and then they were overjoyed. In recent days they had been constantly searching for Su Chen's whereabouts, but they had not been able to find any clues. Su Chen seemed to have disappeared into thin air. They never thought that Su Chen would actually take the initiative to deliver himself to them. This was truly unexpected. Su Chen, are you going to surrender or do you want us to make a move? The void beast glared at Su Chen and said coldly. Previously they had received news that Su Chen was only a 7th stage saint. After not seeing him for more than 3 months, no matter how talented Su Chen was, he should be at most an 8th stage saint level, right? They thought that they could completely crush Su Chen, so they were very arrogant when they spoke. They did not put Su Chen in their eyes at all. You three trash want to catch me? Su Chen curled his lips and said disdainfully. With his current strength, he could even kill a God State expert, so he was indeed qualified to say such words. Of course, the three void beasts did not know that Su Chen had leveled up at all. They all thought that Su Chen was boasting shamelessly. You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Take him down. The 10th stage saint level void beast snorted coldly and signaled to the 2 9th stage saint level void beasts with his eyes. The latter understood tacitly and quickly rushed towards Su Chen. You overestimate yourselves? Su Chen sneered and instantly released his mind power. There were 2 loud bangs. The 2 9th stage saint level void beasts had just rushed to Su Chen when they strangely exploded into 2 clouds of blood mist. What happened? At this moment, the 10th stage saint level void beasts were stunned. They had no idea what had happened at all. Su Chen killed them? Venerable Xinyuan was so shocked that he was dumbfounded and murmured involuntarily. The 2 void beasts that had died were obviously crushed by spiritual energy. Coincidentally, Su Chen had mind power. However, the 2 void beasts that had been killed were at the 9th stage saint level. Even if Su Chen had mind power at the 10th stage saint level, he could not have killed them so easily. Chapter 1105. Your 2 subordinates are already dead. It's your turn next. Su Chen's gaze drifted and fell on the 10th stage saint rank void beast. A playful smile slowly appeared on the corner of his mouth. How could you be so strong? Realizing that his 2 companions were really killed by Su Chen, the void beast at level 10 of the holy level was shocked. 3 months ago, Su Chen was only at level 7 of the holy level even if he used the transformation skill. How could he become so powerful in just 3 months? How could he kill a void beast at level 9 of the holy level at will? It must be an illusion. The void beast at level 10 of the holy level still didn't believe that Su Chen could become so powerful. He gritted his teeth and rushed towards Su Chen. You're just like an ant. Su Chen smiled contemptuously and released his spiritual strength again. The void beast at level 10 of the holy level was enveloped by it. He felt that he had fallen into a swamp and all his movements were slowed down. His spiritual strength has surpassed level 10 of the holy level. It was not until now that the void beast at level 10 of the holy level realized how powerful Su Chen was. He was scared out of his wits and roared involuntarily. It's too late for you to realize it. Su Chen sneered and stared at the void beast at level 10 of the holy level. He asked coldly, where are heaven-scattering Taoist and your God State experts? At this time Wu Tsang should be fighting with heaven-scattering Taoist. But he didn't know where they were. Considering that Wu Tsang had to face many God State experts alone and the situation was extremely dangerous, he had to go there as soon as possible. They are at Star Source Island. The void beast at level 10 of the holy level was scared out of his wits and told him the truth. Star Source Island? Lin Yu thought for a while and then blew up the head of the void beast at level 10 of the holy level with one punch. He's too strong. Venerable Xinyuan clicked his tongue hard. They were both at level 10 of the holy level, but Su Chen killed the void beast as easily as crushing an ant. This made him feel incomparably shocked. After collecting the fragments, Su Chen glanced at the distant Silent Sound Island, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Immediately afterward, 1,000 long swords covered in lightning appeared above his head. Each sword emitted a terrifying energy fluctuation. 1,000 lightning-type sacred swords. The Venerable of divine origin was so shocked that he was dumbfounded. He mumbled, what does Su Chen want to do? At this moment, Su Chen pointed at Silent Sound Island and coldly shouted, kill! The next moment, the 1,000 lightning-attributed sacred swords hovering above his head shot down towards Silent Sound Island like meteors. As they flew, they kept fusing with each other. In the end, it transformed into a 100-meter-long sacred sword that slashed down at Silent Sound Island. There was a loud rumble. The 100 feet holy sword accurately struck the Silent Sound Island, and a dazzling light suddenly bloomed in the void. Oh my God! Venerable Xinyuan opened his eyes wide and looked at Silent Sound Island without blinking. In his line of sight, Silent Sound Island was split into countless pieces. Venerable Xinyuan was completely stunned when he saw this. Even in the Void War 10,000 years ago, he rarely saw such a terrifying killing move. The power of Su Chen's sword brought him indescribable shock. He could even imagine that even a godly state expert could only run for his life when faced with this sword. It's too terrifying. It's too strong. Venerable Xinyuan was agitated. Although Su Chen was only at level 10 of the holy level, the strength that he displayed was not inferior to a godly state expert. At this moment he suddenly realized why Su Chen dared to come out of the Void Relic. It turned out that he had such powerful strength. Chapter 1106. As the Silent Sound Island was split in half, none of the void beasts on the island survived. All of them were killed. Looking at the colorful fragments in the sky, the corners of Su Chen's mouth curled up slightly. Although he could not be sure of the number of fragments, there were at least 200,000 of them. After a while, Su Chen collected all the fragments and quickly returned to the intelligent war chariot. Senior, do you know where the Star Source Island is? As soon as he returned to the chariot, Su Chen asked Venerable Xinyuan. Venerable Xinyuan came back to his senses and shook his head. Su Chen, I'm just a wisp of divine thought. I don't have any information about the Star Source Island in my memory. Su Chen nodded and did not care. Then he opened the chaos space and called Qi Qingxuan out. As the patriarch of the Qi family, Qi Qingxuan was knowledgeable. You should know something. Su Chen, what's the matter? Qi Qingxuan looked at Su Chen and asked. Senior, you should know about the Star Source Island, right? Su Chen said directly. The Star Source Island is the base camp of the Void Beasts. It's said that the godly state warriors of the Void Beasts are on the island. Qi Qingxuan replied. He seemed to have thought of something and his expression froze. He asked tentatively, Su Chen, are you going to the Star Source Island? Although Su Chen had advanced to stage 10 of the sacred stage, he had never seen Su Chen fight in the past 100 years in the secret realm. He did not know how strong Su Chen was. However, there was one thing he was sure of. The strength of a godly state warrior was earth-shattering. Once Su Chen went to the Star Source Island, he would definitely have a fight with the Void Beast God Realm. Could Su Chen be a match for them? Qi Qingxuan could not help but start to worry. Go to the Star Source Island and eliminate all the godly state warriors of the Void Beasts. Su Chen did not hide anything and said domineeringly. Eradicate them all? Was Su Chen that confident? Qi Qingxuan swallowed his saliva, and his expression became slightly sluggish. Based on his understanding of Su Chen would never speak without thinking. But the other party was a deity realm expert after all. Could Su Chen really continue to be invincible? Seeing that Qi Qingxuan was a little absent-minded, Su Chen smiled and said, Senior, just focus on the road. All right. Qi Qingxuan didn't say anything more. Once Su Chen made up his mind, no one could stop him. It was useless to say more. They might as well follow Su Chen's instructions. Later, under Qi Qingxuan's guidance, the intelligent war chariot drove straight in one direction. Along the way they encountered many void beasts. As Su Chen was in a hurry, he did not kill them. The intelligent war chariot drove for 5 days without any disturbances. When they passed by an island, they were surprised to find a large number of void beasts and some huge, extremely ferocious-looking gray beasts besieging the island. Senior, do you know these gray beasts? Su Chen asked curiously. Since it was his first time seeing them, he had a strong interest in these gray beasts. It's my first time seeing them too. Qi Qingxuan shook his head, indicating that he did not know. However, at this moment, the Venerable Xinyuan said with a serious expression, They are the ferocious beasts from the foreign domain. Ferocious beast. Su Chen whispered, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The ferocious beasts were foreign species that dared to invade their world. Since they had encountered them, they had to kill all of them. Satoshi, check the level of the strongest of the ferocious beasts and the void beasts, Su Chen ordered. Chapter 1107. Master, the highest level is the 10th stage of the saint level, the intelligent war chariot immediately replied. Kill them. Su Chen ordered. The 10th stage of the saint level was like an ant in his eyes. He could kill them with one hand. The intelligent war chariot was at full speed and flew to the front of the island in an instant. The void beasts and ferocious beasts besieging the island suddenly saw a spaceship appear. They stopped attacking and looked at the intelligent war chariot. At this moment, Su Chen opened the door and got out of the car. It's actually a human. At first sight of Su Chen, the void beasts and the ferocious beasts were a little confused. There were thousands of ferocious beasts and void beasts present, and 2 of them were at the 10th stage of the saint level. They were so powerful that they could wipe out an area. Then why did this human dare to come alone? Was he not afraid of death? It's Su Chen. Su Chen is here to save us. All of a sudden, an excited roar came from the island. The one who made this roar was the ancestor of the demon clan, sky-devouring beast, whom Su Chen had met once. It's Su Chen. The cultivators of the other clans were also extremely excited. If it were in the past, they would never want to see Su Chen. Because wherever Su Chen went, he would set off a storm of blood. These alien clans had to worry about their own lives. But now things were different. They were besieged by the ferocious beasts and the void beasts. If they didn't have powerful external help, they would all die here. Su Chen's appearance had undoubtedly become their savior. Although they didn't know if Su Chen would be a match for him, they were full of confidence in Su Chen when they thought of Su Chen's undefeated record in the past. Is this guy named Su Chen very powerful? One of the level 10 sacred rank beasts glanced at Su Chen before turning to the void beast beside him and asking. He is very strong. I don't know how many of our clansmen he has killed. However, he's only at the 8th stage of the saint rank. He's definitely no match for us. The void beast spoke slowly. The information he received was still from 3 months ago. At that time, even if Su Chen used the transformation technique, his cultivation was only at the 8th stage of the saint rank. Therefore he did not put Su Chen in his eyes at all. So it's just an ant. I'll go and destroy him. The ferocious beast at the 10th stage of the saint stage grinned maliciously and pounced on Su Chen. Immediately, all the myriad races cultivators looked at Su Chen with their eyes wide open. Although he was full of confidence in Su Chen. But after all, he was facing a terrifying existence of the 10th level saint rank. Could Su Chen continue to be as invincible as before? Everyone became incomparably nervous. I'll start with you. Su Chen smiled contemptuously. When the ferocious beast was close to him, he suddenly released his spiritual energy. After reaching the 10th stage of the saint rank and eating the essence fruit several times, his spiritual energy was now like a vast ocean. It gave people a feeling that he was invincible. It was no exaggeration to say that the spiritual energy of a godly state telekinesis master was just like this. The ferocious beast at the 10th stage of the saint rank was enveloped by Su Chen's spiritual energy. It felt as if it was trapped in a swamp and all of its movements stopped. How could he have such terrifying spiritual energy? The ferocious beast at the 10th stage of the saint rank was scared out of its wits. Go to hell. Suddenly, a loud roar pierced through the sky. Su Chen held a golden fist in his hand and rushed to the ferocious beast like a god descending to earth. He punched out fiercely. Bang! In an earth-shattering explosion, the ferocious beast at the 10th stage of the saint rank was smashed into pieces. Chapter 1108. Witnessing this scene, the surroundings fell into a suffocating silence. Everyone was so shocked that they were dumbfounded. The eyes that looked at Su Chen were also full of shock. No one had expected that a level 10 saint-level ferocious beast would be no match for Su Chen. How powerful was Su Chen now? As expected of the god of killing. He is invincible at all times. Su Chen is awesome. The cultivators on the island raised their arms and cheered in unison after coming to their senses. To think that Su Chen is this powerful, venerable Shen Yuan who was in the intelligent war chariot, had a shocked expression on his face as he mumbled. At first he was very worried about Su Chen. Because the ferocious beasts were more powerful than the cultivators and the void beasts. They were almost invincible at the same level. Who would have thought that Su Chen would smash the fierce beast into pieces with one punch like crushing dry weeds? His powerful strength was vividly displayed. And Su Chen didn't seem to have used any strength at all. This was even more terrifying. Qi Qingxuan, who was next to him, was much calmer. He had already known that Su Chen had reached level 10 saint level in the secret realm. With Su Chen's powerful combat strength, he was invincible at the same level. Crushing a ferocious beast of the same level with one punch was completely normal. There was nothing to be surprised about. You've reached level 10 saint level? The level 10 saint level void beast looked at Su Chen in horror and said in a trembling voice. 3 months ago, Su Chen was only at level 7 saint level. Unexpectedly, in just 3 months he had reached level 10 saint level. This kind of cultivation speed could only be described as terrifying. And it thought that Su Chen could also improve his cultivation through the transformation skill and kill enemies at a higher level. The level 10 Saint level Void Beast suddenly stopped breathing. If the rumor was true, didn't it mean that even a God State strongman was no match for Su Chen? What should we do? The Void Beast of the 10th stage Saint rank was in a complete panic. After witnessing Su Chen's terrifying strength, the other Void Beasts and Ferocious Beasts also began to feel uneasy. Su Chen could even kill a 10th level Saint ranked Vicious Beast. If he wanted to kill them, it would be no different from killing ants. Thinking of this, a strong feeling of fear spread in their hearts. On the other side, Su Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Then he fixed his eyes on the Void Beast at stage 10 of the Holy rank and said mockingly, "Next, it's your turn." Gulp. The 10th stage Saint rank Void Beast swallowed his saliva and trembled all over. He knew very well that once Su Chen made a move against him, he would have absolutely no power to resist. "Su Chen, spare my life. As long as you don't kill me, I'll do anything for you." In order to survive, the Void Beast threw away its dignity and loudly begged Su Chen for mercy. This guy really doesn't care about shame. All the cultivators of the 10,000 races despised him. At the same time, they also realized how powerful Su Chen was. If it were someone else, even if they were on the same level as Su Chen, they would never be as intimidating as Su Chen. After all, Su Chen's ferocious name had already spread in the Void Beast world. If he met a god, he would kill a god. If he met a demon, he would kill a demon. No one could stop him. He was invincible. The Void Beast's expressions were extremely ugly. For a moment they were at a loss. Even an ancestor-level powerhouse had lowered his head and begged Su Chen for mercy. What should they do? "You Void Beasts are trash. You're not qualified to submit to me." Su Chen snorted coldly and suddenly threw out a punch. The 10th stage Saint rank Void Beast was already scared out of its wits. Coupled with the great disparity in strength, it was unable to resist the punch and exploded. Chapter 1109. The remaining ferocious beasts and Void Beasts were scared out of their wits and fled for their lives. A cold light flashed in Su Chen's eyes, and he suddenly drew his saber and slashed. A three-colored torrent swept forward like a river of stars. Instantly, a terrifying magical wave spread out, causing the void to tremble. What a terrifying magic attack! The cultivators on the island trembled non-stop, and their eyes were filled with ferocity. The shock that Su Chen's three-elemental magic fusion attack had brought to them was unprecedented. Three-elemental magic fusion. Su Chen actually has such a killing move. Venerable Xinyuan, who was in the intelligent war chariot, was also shocked. Previously, when Su Chen used Thousand Swords Become One, it already shocked him like a celestial being. He did not expect that Su Chen still had a killing move. Moreover, its power was only slightly inferior to that of the 1,000 swords. At this moment he became more and more excited. With these two trump cards in hand, Su Chen might really be able to compete with a godly state expert. Qi Qingxuan, who was beside him, could not help but laugh when he saw Venerable Xinyuan's expression. Su Chen's strength was definitely not limited to what he saw in front of him. At least he knew that Su Chen had a fist technique. That day in the chaotic space he had seen Su Chen use it once. That terrifying power could only be described as destroying the world. Moreover, Su Chen had not used the transformation technique yet. Using the transformation technique to upgrade his three professions at the same time was Su Chen's real trump card. On the other side, the three-colored torrents swept across, and thousands of void beasts and ferocious beasts were all destroyed. The sky was filled with shining shards, and there were more than 100,000 of them. Seeing this, the corners of Su Chen's mouth curled up slightly. After this battle he was sure of one thing. Killing ferocious beasts could also drop shards, and the number of shards dropped was more than that of the foreign tribes and void beasts. After a while, Su Chen collected the fragments. He greeted the cultivators of the myriad clans on the island and returned to the intelligent war chariot. Then the intelligent war chariot quickly left and continued to fly towards Star Source Island. Looking at the leaving figure of the intelligent war chariot, the shock on the faces of the cultivators of the myriad races did not dissipate for a long time. There was a voice echoing in his heart. Su Chen was too strong. During the flight of the intelligent war chariot, Su Chen sat in the driver's seat and sorted out the debris. He spent an entire day sorting out the fragments. After exchanging them for energy points, the total number of energy points he had was close to 400,000. It seemed like a lot, but if he wanted to exchange for level 22 full attribute fragments and advance to the deity realm, he still had a long way to go. Since Su Chen was temporarily unable to exchange, he began to ponder about other options. So far, there were still 2 items worth 10,000 energy points that had yet to be exchanged. They were the 5 elements Divine Thunder Purgatory Formation and the Illusionary Blaze Feather Divine Dragon. Since he did not spend much energy points, Su Chen decided to exchange them all at once. The 5 elements Divine Thunder Purgatory Formation was a kind of thunder-type formation. Once it was released, it could cover a distance of 10,000 miles. It would also carry out an indiscriminate and omnidirectional thunder attack on the target it had locked onto. If a cultivator of the same level were to suffer such an attack, they would definitely be doomed. Even if a cultivator of a higher level did not die, they would suffer a fatal blow and their lives would be in danger. However, although the power of the 5 elements Divine Thunder Purgatory Formation was unparalleled, there were many restrictions to using this ability. First of all, one had to be a dual-profession cultivator, an evolver, and a Thunder-type Dharma Psychic. Secondly, a Thunder-type Dharma Psychic had to be proficient in 5 types of Thunder techniques. Neither of these 2 restrictions could be missing. It could be said that in this world, other than Su Chen, there was no other person who could cultivate the 5 elements Divine Thunder Purgatory Formation. Chapter 11:10. Not only was Su Chen a full-time cultivator, but he had also consumed the 5 Thunder Fruit many times. The 5 Thunder Fruit happened to contain 5 different types of lightning power. Therefore, he had fulfilled the requirements to cultivate the 5 elements Lightning Purgatory Formation. As for the Illusionary Blaze Feather Divine Dragon, it had automatically entered the pet-raising space the moment the exchange was successful. The Illusionary Blaze Feather Divine Dragon looked like a combination of an Eastern Divine Dragon and a Western Dragon. Its body was hundreds of feet long and covered with a layer of golden scales. It also had a pair of wings that covered the sky and the sun. It was awe-inspiring and gave people a very shocking feeling. Unfortunately, it was only at level 10, so it couldn't be used for the time being. However, there was a clear hint in the feedback. The Illusionary Blaze Feather Divine Dragon had the potential to become a divine beast. As long as there were enough cultivation resources, it would become a divine beast sooner or later. However, the Illusionary Blaze Feather Divine Dragon's huge body could be predicted. Once it became a divine beast, its strength would be earth-shattering. This was something that other spiritual pets could not compare to. After a while, Su Chen collected his thoughts and entered the chaos space. There were still a few days before reaching Star Source Island. He planned to take advantage of this time to completely master the 5 elements Lightning Purgatory Formation. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. On this day, Su Chen walked out of the chaos space and the intelligent war chariot reminded him in time, "Master, we're almost at Star Source Island." Su Chen's expression froze as he ordered, "Satoshi, search Star Source Island." Yes. The intelligent war chariot immediately started searching. After a while, a huge island appeared on the central control screen. It was like a continent. Su Chen glanced at it and continued, "Satoshi, search for the strongest person on Star Source Island." Star Source Island was the territory of the Void Beast God Realm experts. Wu Tsang had once said that he had to hold them back. He suspected that Wu Tsang was confronting a group of Deity Realm experts on the island. The image on the central control screen changed again and soon appeared on a plain. At this time, the sky above the plains could be said to be surging with waves, and the wind and clouds changed color. An old man who was radiating a brilliant light was sitting cross-legged in the air with his eyes closed. Above his head was a round plate that looked like a bright moon. Dazzling starlight flowed out from the disk, forming a blue light shield that completely covered the old man. "It's Senior Wu Tsang." Su Chen raised his eyebrows and cried out involuntarily. He could clearly see that this old man was Wu Tsang, who was emitting a brilliant light. Outside of Wu Tsang, there were more than 10 cultivators standing there. Among them were 2 void beasts and a sinister-looking cultivator from the myriad races. The rest were men in gray robes and had extremely ugly appearances. "Master, they are all Deity Realm experts." Intelligent War Chariot suddenly reminded. Were they all in the God Realm? Su Chen was quite surprised. He had never expected so many Deity Realm experts to appear on Star Source Island. Who were those gray-robed men? Could it be an illusion of a ferocious beast? Furthermore, wasn't Wu Tsang's strength a little too strong? It was incredible that he could fight against more than 10 Deity Realm experts alone. "Su Chen, that disc is the Starlight 10,000-year wheel. It is a defensive artifact." At this moment, Venerable Xinyuan reminded him. "I see." Su Chen understood. At this moment he finally understood why Wu Tsang could fight against more than 10 deity realm experts. Most of the time he relied on the defense of the Starlight 10,000-year wheel. He could imagine that if he lost this artifact, Wu Tsang would have been blasted to pieces. Chapter 11:11. After understanding this, Su Chen continued to ask, "Senior, are those gray-robed men ferocious beasts?" The myriad clans and void beasts definitely did not have so many divine realm warriors. It was very likely that they were ferocious beasts. However, he was only guessing and could not be completely sure. Venerable Xinyuan explained, "They are indeed ferocious beasts because they can transform into human forms when they reach the divine realm." Su Chen nodded and continued, "Senior, wait for me here. I'll go and kill all those divine realm warriors." What? Venerable Xinyuan was shocked and almost thought that he had heard wrongly. There were more than a dozen divine realm warriors on the other side. Su Chen was only at stage 10 of the saint stage. How could he threaten to kill them? It was true that Su Chen had the strength to compete with a divine realm warrior, but after all he had not reached the divine realm yet. He would be killed in an instant if he made a mistake. Therefore he did not believe that Su Chen could be a match for more than a dozen divine realm warriors. He even thought that as long as Su Chen went over, he would be killed in an instant. "Su Chen, you'd better be careful," Qi Qingxuan advised. Su Chen could also advance to the divine realm warrior by using the transformation technique and had the title of being invincible among his peers. If he faced one or two divine realm warriors he would not be worried. However, more than a dozen of them were too many. It would be easy for him to be surrounded and killed. "Don't worry, they're just a few ants." Lin Yu smiled faintly. Then, under the gaze of Venerable Xinyuan and Qi Qingxuan, he opened the car door and quickly flew toward Star Source Island. He was not boasting at all. With the two trump cards, the 10,000 swords in one and the astral storm, he felt that even if he did not use the heaven-raising shapeshifting skill, there was a great possibility that he could crush his opponents. Su Chen is so confident? Venerable Xinyuan and Qi Qingxuan were a little stunned. Divine realm warriors had the strength to destroy the world, but in Su Chen's eyes they were just ants. Was Su Chen boasting shamelessly? Or did he have unparalleled confidence in his own strength? The Venerable Xinyuan and the Venerable could not tell the difference. On the other side, Su Chen arrived at Star Source Island in less than a dozen breaths of time. He arrived in the air where Wu Tsang and the others were fighting. The sudden appearance of a human cultivator caused the deity realm experts present to be somewhat astonished. Especially when he sensed that Su Chen was only a 10th stage saint rank, he was even more baffled. One had to know that everyone present was at the immortal state. They could kill a level 10 saint with a flick of their fingers. Then why was this human in front of him approaching? Could it be that he was tired of living and was actively seeking death? Just as the group of deity realm powerhouses were puzzled, Lin Yu suddenly said to Wu Tsang, "Senior, it's been hard on you." Hearing this, Wu Tsang's closed eyes suddenly opened. When she saw that the one who spoke was Su Chen, her eyes shot out a brilliant light as she excitedly said, "Su Chen, you're finally here." Although he had the Starlight Myriad Year Will, he could not keep resisting the attacks of more than a dozen divine realm experts. Now he was at the end of his rope. Fortunately, Su Chen came in time. Although he had not been in contact with Su Chen for a long time, he knew Su Chen very well. If Su Chen was not very confident, he would never show up. Now that Su Chen appeared in front of him, it meant that he could deal with more than a dozen divine realm experts. "Su Chen, I've been looking for you for a long time, but I didn't expect that you would take the initiative to come to me. There is a way to heaven, but you don't take it, and there is no door to hell. Let's see how you can escape this time." All of a sudden, the divine realm cultivator of all clans laughed unscrupulously. This person was none other than heaven-scattering Taoist, who had advanced to the divine realm. Chapter 11:12. Are you heaven-scattering Taoist? Su Chen narrowed his eyes and said flatly, "Yes, I am." Heaven-scattering Taoist said with a proud look. He had reached the divine realm and had more than a dozen divine realm experts as his helpers. Therefore he was so arrogant that he didn't take Su Chen seriously at all. "You colluded with the fierce beasts and harmed thousands of tribes. Today I'll kill you for thousands of tribes." Su Chen stared at heaven-scattering Taoist and said coldly, "You?" Heaven-scattering Taoist was full of disdain. "Su Chen, do you really think you're invincible? Do you know how powerful the divine realm is?" The two void beasts in the divine realm also sneered. The rest of the divine realm fierce beasts looked at Su Chen with disdain. A cultivator at LV10 sacred level dared to say that he would kill a divine realm expert. In their eyes this was a very laughable matter. They even suspected that Su Chen was out of his mind. Otherwise, who gave Su Chen the courage to say such words? Let's start with you. A cold light flashed in Su Chen's dark eyes. He instantly released his mind power and swept it toward Heaven's Scattering Taoist. Su Chen, don't be so arrogant. I'm standing right here. Let's see how you can hurt me. At this point, Heaven's Scattering Taoist stopped abruptly, and his face became extremely solemn. At this moment he clearly felt an invisible force like the sea of stars crushing toward him. He immediately lost his ability to move. He couldn't get rid of it even though he had reached the divine realm. How did your mind power become so powerful? Heaven's Scattering Taoist widened his eyes in horror and roared in shock. Even if he cracked his head, he also did not think that Su Chen had not advanced to deity realm yet, and his strength was actually so formidable. There are many things that you don't know. Su Chen sneered and manipulated his spiritual force to pull Heaven's loose Taoist towards himself. Save me. Heaven's Scattering Taoist was scared out of his wits and roared hysterically. He couldn't move at all. If Su Chen pulled him closer he would be easily killed. The two God Realm Void Beasts regained their senses and rushed towards Su Chen at full speed. They were in the same boat as Heaven's loose Taoist. Once Heaven's loose Taoist was killed, they would not have an easy time. Scram! Su Chen roared. His voice was like thunder, shaking the void. The two Void Beasts' scalps went numb from the shock, but they didn't retreat. They gritted their teeth and continued to charge at Su Chen. Since you want to die, I'll send you on your way first. Su Chen's entire body rippled with a layer of material killing intent, causing him to seem like a fiend god. He held a pitch-black saber in his hand as he slashed it towards the two Void Beasts from afar. Then a tricolored torrent swept forward. At the same time, the three extraordinary fires that had reached sacred level 10 also jumped up and merged with it. Sizzle. Suddenly the void seemed to be shattered. The tricolored torrent exuded extremely terrifying magical fluctuations. Everywhere it passed there was a series of explosions. What kind of killing move is this? There were exclamations from all around. Those God Realm Fierce Beasts who originally looked down on Su Chen were all stunned on the spot, their eyes full of shock. The two Void Beasts were scared out of their wits. They tried their best to resist. Boom, boom. It was accompanied by two earth-shattering explosions. Under the suppression of the tricolored torrent, the two deity realm Void Beasts exploded and died without a corpse left. Chapter 11-13. The two God Realm Void Beasts were killed by Su Chen in one move? Seeing this scene, the surroundings fell into a suffocating silence. Those God Realm Fierce Beasts were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped. Wu Tsang opened his mouth slightly, and his face was full of horror. He had long guessed that Su Chen's strength had increased greatly and he had the strength to kill God Realm experts, but he had never expected that it would soar to such an extent. How could this be? Why is he so powerful? Heaven's Scattering Taoist's face turned pale, and his whole body began to tremble. Originally, he had thought that he could dominate and easily kill Su Chen after reaching the God Realm. Unexpectedly, Su Chen's strength was not what he could imagine at all. He had killed two God Realm experts with one move. His strength was simply incredible. Qi Qingxuan and Venerable Xinyuan in the Intelligent War Chariot were stunned for a moment, and then they became inexplicably excited. At first, when Su Chen said that he would kill God Realm experts, they thought that Su Chen was bragging. But after witnessing this scene, they suddenly realized that it was true. Su Chen's words were not exaggerated at all. He really had the strength. After Su Chen killed the two God Realm Void Beasts, he turned to look at Heaven's Scattering Taoist and said mockingly, "Next, it's your turn. Don't kill me." Heaven's Scattering Taoist was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly shouted to the Fierce Beasts, "Lord Fierce Beasts, save me." He knew very well that Su Chen would never let him go. If he wanted to live, he had to beg the Fierce Beasts for help. "Human, don't be too arrogant." The Fierce Beasts scolded and rushed towards Su Chen. Although Su Chen's strength had deeply shocked them, there were still a dozen of them. But they had more than a dozen people. If they joined forces, they had full confidence in killing Su Chen. A group of ants who don't know death. Su Chen smiled disdainfully and smashed Heaven's Scattering Taoist's head with one punch. Then he waved his hand when a group of Divine Realm Fierce Beasts rushed over. All of a sudden, a purple lightning bolt descended from the sky and landed among the ferocious beasts in the blink of an eye. One of the ferocious beasts couldn't dodge in time and was directly smashed to the ground, black smoke rising from its body. However, this purple lightning bolt did not take his life. It only slightly injured him. It's just a thunder technique and you still want to play tricks? The ferocious beasts clamored. You guys are too naive. The corners of Su Chen's mouth twitched, revealing a strange arc rumble. Immediately after, the entire void was filled with the sound of thunder. It was dense and endless. In the next moment, streaks of lightning of various colors, each as thick as a bucket, descended from the sky. 1, 2, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. The entire void was completely covered by lightning. Especially the place where the dozen or so God-state ferocious beasts were, they were completely annihilated. It's really powerful. Seeing this, the corners of Su Chen's mouth slowly curled up. He was using the 5 elements divine thunder purgatory formation. At present, it seemed that its power was enough to destroy the world. He was quite satisfied with it. Su Chen has this kind of killing move? Wutsang took a deep breath and looked at Su Chen in a daze. Even with his vast knowledge, he had never seen such a terrifying killing move. At this moment he was completely shocked. Qi Qingxuan and Venerable Xinyuan were even more shocked. They were so shocked that they even stopped breathing. Boom, boom, boom. As the streaks of lightning fell, the sound of thunder reverberated in the void. After an unknown period of time, all of the lightning dissipated. The dozen or so ferocious beasts had already disappeared in the void. One could imagine that they must have been blasted to the point that not even dregs were left. Chapter 11:14. Su Chen narrowed his eyes and glanced at the void. He saw that the sky was filled with shining fragments. He roughly estimated that there were millions of them. Even with his composure, he could not remain calm at this moment. He secretly sighed and said, "Killing a godly state expert is so satisfying." After a while, Su Chen calmed down and collected the fragments. He went to Wu Tsang and said with a smile, "Senior, are you okay?" At this moment, Wu Tsang seemed to be in a daze. Obviously, he had not recovered from the shock yet. "I'm fine. I'm fine." When he heard Su Chen talking to him, Wu Tsang quivered and replied subconsciously, "That's good." Su Chen smiled and then invited Wu Tsang into the intelligent war chariot. "Senior Wu Tsang, I'm Qi Qingxuan from the Void Fortress's Qi family." When Wu Tsang got into the chariot, Qi Qingxuan greeted him respectfully. After all, Wu Tsang was the only godly state expert among the 10,000 clans. He had protected the 10,000 clans for thousands of years and deserved his respect. Wu Tsang nodded. Then he turned his gaze and looked at Honorable Xinyuan. When he saw Venerable Xinyuan's appearance, his expression suddenly changed and he said in a trembling voice, "Senior Xinyuan, you're still alive?" Wu Tsang had also participated in the great battle 10,000 years ago. However, at that time he was only at stage 10 of the sage level, while Venerable Xinyuan was a godly state expert. Therefore it was not too much to call Venerable Xinyuan a senior. Venerable Xinyuan smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist Wu Tsang is already a godly state expert, and I'm just a wisp of divine soul, so you don't have to be so polite." Divine soul? Wu Tsang's expression darkened. Originally he thought that Venerable Xinyuan was still alive. Now, it seemed that Venerable Xinyuan had fallen in the great battle 10,000 years ago. When he thought of the great battle 10,000 years ago, the godly state experts of the 10,000 clans fought bloody battles and almost all of them died. Wu Tsang sighed in his heart. At the same time he respected Venerable Xinyuan. "Senior Xinyuan, why are you with Su Chen?" Wu Tsang sighed and asked curiously. Venerable Xinyuan then told him about his encounter with Su Chen in the Void Relic. Fortunately, Senior has a backup plan to help Su Chen. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Wu Tsang thanked Venerable God Source again. If it were not for the mystery realm left behind by the Venerable Xinyuan, Su Chen would not have been able to reach such heights in such a short period of time. Then, the myriad races would really be in danger. What I can do is just a meager amount of effort. The one who truly relies on is still Su Chen. Without Su Chen, the myriad races would have been destroyed by the ferocious beasts sooner or later. Venerable Xinyuan said solemnly. If it wasn't for Su Chen's extraordinary talent, if it were another person, even if they were given more time and more cultivation resources, they would never be as strong as Su Chen. It was no exaggeration to say that even in the era of geniuses 10,000 years ago, no one could compare to Su Chen. Think about it, who could kill more than 10 God State experts in an instant when they were at stage 10 sage level? Just based on this point, Su Chen was enough to be called the #1 genius in the history of the myriad races, or it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was the #1 expert. "Senior, you flatter me," Su Chen said modestly. At this moment, Wu Tsang seemed to have thought of something and reminded him, Su Chen, we have to hurry up and seal the realm passage that connects to the ferocious beasts. As long as the realm passage was not sealed, the ferocious beasts would continue to attack. To the myriad races, it would still be a disaster. Senior, there are still God State experts among the ferocious beasts? Su Chen probed. He had already killed more than 10 God State ferocious beasts, so he suspected that there would not be any more God State experts among the ferocious beasts. If there were no God State experts, there was no need to seal the realm passage. That was because he still planned to go to the realm where the ferocious beasts were. Chapter 11:15. Su Chen, there's something you don't know. Wu Tsang sighed and then said with a solemn expression, there are at least 100 God State warriors among the beasts, and the dozen or so that you killed can only be considered the weakest. Qi Qingxuan sucked in a breath of cold air. 100 deity realm demonic beasts was simply shocking, and it gave him an extremely great pressure in his heart. Su Chen's eyelids also twitched and he asked, Senior, how powerful is the strongest among the beasts? The strength that he had shown before was just the tip of the iceberg. He had not used any of his 3 powerful trump cards, Atlas Shapeshifting Skill, Astral Storm and 10,000 Swords in one. Therefore he was not too afraid of the God State beasts. The strongest among the beasts is called Gu Badian. His cultivation is as high as God State 3 stars, and his strength is unparalleled. Wu Tsang said in a deep voice. Although Gu Badian was the enemy of all races, Wu Tsang's words were full of admiration. It was also a form of respect for the strongest. God State is also divided into levels? Su Chen frowned slightly. Because he had not exchanged the level 22 all attributes fragment, he did not know that the God State was divided into levels. The God State is the same as the Sage Stage in ordinary cultivators. It is also divided into 10 levels. The lowest is God State 1 star, and the highest is God State 10 stars, Wu Tsang explained. Hearing this, Su Chen pondered. He was only at Saint Stage 10, and Gu Badian was 3 levels higher than him. Even if he used the Atlas Shapeshifting Skill and advanced to God State 1 star, there was still a gap of 2 levels between him and Gu Badian. If he was only at God State 1 star, he had full confidence to deal with Gu Badian. But with a 2-star gap, it was very difficult. However, fortunately he had obtained 1,000,000 fragments and exchanged them all for energy points. In addition to the energy points that he had accumulated before, the total was almost 1.4 million. And to exchange for a level 22 all attributes fragment, he needed 1.5 million energy points, which was about 100,000 energy points. There were many void beasts on Star Source Island. If he killed all of them, it would not be a problem to collect 100,000 energy points. In this way he could advance to God State 1 star. If he continued to use the Atlas Shapeshifting Skill, he would be at the 2 stars of the Divine Realm. Thinking of this, Su Chen felt much more relaxed. Wu Tsang saw that Su Chen didn't care much and was worried that Su Chen would underestimate him. He reminded him again, Su Chen, other than being a God Realm expert, Gu Badian also has a divine sword. Not only is it a divine weapon but it's also of high quality. The power of the sword shook the heavens. Even my Starry Sky 10,000-year ring couldn't withstand it. It seems like Gu Badian is indeed a super expert. Su Chen narrowed his eyes and muttered to himself. Gu Ba's cultivation base was at the 3 stars of the heavenly deity realm. Coupled with the fact that he had a divine artifact in hand, his true battle prowess was comparable to that of a 4 stars deity realm martial artist. However, Su Chen was still fearless. Although he didn't have a divine artifact, 10,000 swords in one, included 5,000 thunder sacred swords, 2,500 spiritual swords, and 2,500 magic swords. Its power would definitely surpass Gu Baishan's sword of piercing heaven. He was still a little confident about this. Therefore it was not impossible to defeat Gu Badian. Senior, don't worry. I'm confident that I can defeat Gu Badian, Su Chen said with a smile. Looking at Su Chen's confident smile, Wu Tsang was a little stunned for a moment. Although Su Chen was an unparalleled super genius, he still didn't believe that he could defeat Gu Badian. Because there was a 3-level gap between the two. The gap was too huge. Chapter 11:16. Su Chen did not explain anything. He was about to open the chaos space to summon people to slaughter Star Source Island. The swift bird suddenly reminded him, Master, there is an extremely powerful being coming towards us. Su Chen's heart skipped a beat. The swift bird had advanced to stage 10 of the sacred stage. Most of the people who could make it feel threatened were God-state experts. Thinking of this, he ordered the intelligent war chariot, Satoshi, search for him. Soon, the intelligent war chariot replied, "Master, there is a ferocious beast at God-state 1-star coming." After that, he transmitted the image of the ferocious beast to the central control screen. Suchin took a closer look and saw an ugly man who was as strong as a small mountain. He was holding a purple spear and was rushing towards them at lightning speed. In terms of appearance, this man indeed had the characteristics of a ferocious beast. Suchin, this guy is called Ding Sheng. Although he is only at God-state 1-star, he is very powerful. You must be careful. Venerable Xinyuan reminded him with a serious expression. Senior, do you know him? Suchin asked in confusion. Wu Tsang did not know this ferocious beast, but Venerable Xinyuan recognized him at a glance. This made him feel very strange. Venerable Xinyuan explained, in the great battle 10,000 years ago, my original body fought with him and was always at a disadvantage. The reason was the spear in his hand. Spear? Suchin could not help but look at the purple spear in Ding Sheng's hand. He saw that it was surrounded by purple light and full of charm. It was very likely to be a high-quality holy artifact. Venerable Xinyuan continued, this spear is called the sky-splitting purple spear. It is a divine artifact. It has the power to shatter the void and is very destructive. It is a divine artifact. Wu Tsang's face suddenly froze. He knew very well how powerful a divine artifact was because he had the Starry Sky 10,000-year wheel. However, the Starry Sky 10,000-year wheel was a defensive divine artifact, while the sky-splitting purple spear was an offensive divine artifact. If one did not have a strong defense, it was very likely that one would be killed by the spear. Therefore he could not help but start to worry. When Suchin heard that the heaven-splitting purple light spear was a divine weapon, not only was there no fear, there was even a look of excitement in his eyes. If he could snatch the heaven-splitting purple light spear and break it down into energy points, it would definitely be a massive amount. If he killed Ding Sheng, the energy points of the two added together would be enough for him to ascend to the divine realm. Suchin licked his lips and said to Wu Tsang, Senior, wait here. I'll go out and kill Ding Sheng. Suchin, wait a minute. Wu Tsang stopped Suchin and handed the 10,000-year ring to Suchin. Take it just in case. Since Ding Sheng had come to kill him, given Suchin's character, this battle was unavoidable. However, Ding Sheng had a divine artifact in his hands. He was worried that Suchin would suffer a loss, so he handed the Starry Sky 10,000-year ring to Suchin. In this way, Ding Sheng's advantage of having a divine artifact would be gone. Senior, take it back. Ding Sheng is no different from an ant in my eyes. I can kill him easily. Suchin smiled and walked straight out of the intelligent war chariot. This. Wu Tsang was stunned. Qi Qingshuan and Venerable Xinyuan were also stunned. If he was facing an ordinary divine realm 1-star fierce beast, Suchin would have no problem saying that. However, Ding Sheng was different. Ding Sheng had not only experienced the war 10,000 years ago, but also had a divine artifact. His real combat strength was close to divine realm 2 stars. However, Suchin did not take him seriously. He was too arrogant. Chapter 11:17. Suchin came to the void and quietly waited for Ding Sheng's arrival. After a dozen breaths, Ding Sheng flew close to him with a murderous aura. When he saw Suchin, he was slightly stunned and then said coldly, Human, are you waiting for me? Yes. Suchin said lightly. Suddenly, a murderous aura surrounded Ding Sheng. He glanced at Lin Yu and said sternly, Who killed my clansmen? There was still some aura of fierce beasts in the void. He could feel that those God-state beasts had died. However, Suchin was only at stage 10 of the saint rank. Obviously he couldn't do that. Therefore he suspected that there was a hidden powerhouse nearby. I killed them. Suchin admitted generously. You killed them? Ding Sheng opened his eyes wide and looked at Suchin again. Then he sneered, How can a trash like you kill a God-state expert? Don't boast shamelessly. 10 stage 10 of the saint rank together might not be a match for a God-state expert. What's more, there were more than a dozen God-state beasts here. Suchin said that he could kill them? It was ridiculous. If you don't believe me, why don't you try it yourself? Suchin curled his lips and provoked. Seeing Suchin so fearless, Ding Sheng muttered in his heart. Is this human deliberately hiding his cultivation? Is he pretending to be weak? Thinking of this, Ding Sheng's eyes flashed coldly. He raised the sky-splitting purple light spear and rushed towards Suchin. No matter whether Suchin hid his strength or not. As long as he had the sky-splitting purple light spear in hand, he was confident that he could defeat Su Chen. Wu Tsang and others suddenly became nervous. They all looked at Su Chen with worry in their hearts. Su Chen's face didn't change at all. As Ding Xing rushed over, his body suddenly rose up and reached a height of 10 feet in the blink of an eye. At the same time, his cultivation rose steadily. When he reached the peak, he had surprisingly advanced to the level of 1 star of the God Realm. After advancing to the God Realm, Su Chen felt that his whole body was filled with explosive power. He felt as if he could summon clouds and rain with a flip of his hand, as if everything in the world was under his control. Ding Xing, come here and die. Su Chen's confidence suddenly exploded and he laughed wantonly. Arrogant. Ding Xing let out a cold snort. The purple light-splitting sky spear in his hand continuously gathered radiance. A powerful might that could tear the sky apart shot out from it. He had expected that Su Chen had concealed his strength, so he was not surprised. Facing the heaven-rend amethyst spear that smashed down like a meteor, a hint of disdain appeared at the corners of Su Chen's mouth. Immediately afterward, a dazzling golden light appeared on his palm, and he wrapped his mental strength on it. Then he grabbed the sky-splitting purple light spear. Su Chen was crazy. Witnessing this scene, Wu Tsang and the rest felt their hearts beat violently. They saw clearly that Su Chen was preparing to use his physical body to resist the sky-splitting purple light spear's rhythm. However, the sky-splitting purple light spear was clearly an indestructible divine weapon. How could Su Chen dare to do this? Actually, it wasn't the first time that Su Chen grabbed a weapon with his bare hands. It was just that the three of them had never seen it before. If they had seen it before, they wouldn't make such a fuss. You're seeking your own death. Ding Xing was stunned for a moment, then he laughed hideously. Su Chen actually dared to grab the sky-splitting purple light spear with his bare hands. In his view, it was undoubtedly an act of seeking death. Moreover, he also believed that as long as the spear hit Su Chen, it would definitely turn Su Chen into ashes. Chapter 11:18. In the next moment, the sky-splitting purple light spear stabbed into Lin Yu's palm. A terrifying tearing power burst out instantly. All of a sudden, the surrounding void began to crack and ripple. Wu Tsang and the others in the intelligent war chariot felt their hearts in their throats. In the face of such a terrifying attack, could Su Chen really withstand it? Suddenly, a bright purple light bloomed in Su Chen's palm. The purple light was the sky-splitting purple light spear's power was released to the extreme. Go to hell. Ding Xing roared ferociously. Seeing that the first wave of the sky-splitting purple light spear's attack had no effect on Su Chen, he didn't dare to hold back. He used all his strength, held the sky-splitting purple light spear tightly with both hands, and stabbed at Su Chen. An earth-shattering boom resounded. Su Chen's entire body was annihilated by the purple light. Su Chen. Wu Tsang's face turned pale as he roared. Su Chen is finished. Qi Qingxuan and Venerable Xinyuan's faces turned ghastly pale, and their hearts sank to the bottom. Under such a fierce attack, they all thought that Su Chen would definitely die. Sky-splitting purple light spear, it's just an undeserved reputation. Suddenly, a cold whistle pierced through the sky, and it pierced deeply into the ears of everyone present. Su Chen is still alive. Wu Tsang and the others were stunned. They heard clearly that the person who had made the sound was definitely Su Chen. Then they opened their eyes wide and looked at the place where the purple light had enveloped. When the purple light gradually dissipated, they saw a 10-foot-tall giant in golden armor standing in the void. He was like a god of war, unmoving, and his body was rippling with an invincible and powerful aura. It's Su Chen. He's still alive. Qi Qingxuan shouted excitedly. How could this be? When he saw that not only was Su Chen still alive, but he was also completely unharmed, the corners of Ding Sheng's mouth trembled. His eyes were filled with intense fear. From the beginning to the end, he never thought that Su Chen could really use his physical body to resist the sky-splitting purple light spear's attack. One had to know that the heaven-splitting purple light spear was a divine artifact. Even the #1 expert, Gu Badian, would not dare to take it head-on with his physical body. How did the human in front of him do it? Was he still human? In a trance, Ding Xing really regarded Lin Yu as a godlike existence. Petty tricks, and you still dare to show off in front of me? Su Chen sneered. While Ding Xing was still absent-minded, he suddenly used the heaven-reaching hundredfold vigorous technique. With a sudden force, he directly seized the sky-splitting purple light spear. Ding Xing's expression changed dramatically. Losing the purple light heaven-splitting spear, his strength was greatly reduced, practically dropping to the freezing point. Not to mention killing Su Qin, he didn't even know if he could save his life. "Human, who the hell are you?" Ding Sheng suppressed his fear and asked in a muffled voice. He didn't expect that such a super expert would appear among the thousands of clans. If he had known, he wouldn't have foolishly come in. At this moment he was so regretful that his intestines turned green. "Ant-like existence, what qualifications do you have to know my name?" Su Qin snorted with contempt. Although Ding Sheng was an expert at the God Realm 1 star, he was indeed no different from an ant in his eyes. If he wanted to kill Ding Sheng, it would be as easy as moving his fingers. Ding Sheng's face turned pale. Although he was compared to an ant, he couldn't refute. In front of a real super expert he was indeed so small. Chapter 11:19. Where is Gu Badian? Su Qin released his mind power and easily bound Ding Sheng as he questioned coldly. At present, the only one who could pose a threat to him was Gu Badian. Therefore he paid close attention to Gu Badian's movements. "Human, kill me if you want. I won't say anything." Ding Sheng gritted his teeth and glared angrily at Su Qin. He knew very well that there was no way out if he fell into Su Qin's hands. Since that was the case, he naturally wouldn't tell the truth. "I admire your bravery," Su Qin said faintly, and a strange arc slowly appeared on the corner of his mouth. He didn't have many methods to deal with such a stubborn guy. He wasn't good at pulling tendons, skinning and sucking marrow, but breaking bones and chopping off limbs were still his forte. The next moment, Ding Sheng's two arms were separated from his body amidst a shrill scream. "If you continue to be stubborn, I will dismember you." Su Qin's face didn't change as he stared at Ding Sheng and said indifferently, "You're not human. You're a demon." Ding Sheng was scared. He didn't fear death, but he couldn't withstand such cruel torture. Su Qin's face suddenly darkened as he punched out without warning and directly turned one of Ding Sheng's thighs into powder. "Ah!" Ding Sheng once again let out a miserable shriek. "I'll give you one last chance." Su Qin narrowed his eyes as his voice gradually became cold. "Gu Badian is still in our vicious barbarian domain and can't enter your domain for the time being." Ding Sheng admitted defeat and hurriedly said. He was afraid that if he didn't answer in time, he would be mercilessly tortured by Su Qin. Hearing this, Su Qin's eyes flickered. The Gu Badian that Ding Sheng was talking about should be Gu Badian. As for the vicious barbarian domain, it was the world of ferocious beasts. And the Zhenhuan domain was the world they were in. Is it because the domain passage isn't stable and Gu Badian can't enter the Zhenhuan domain? Su Qin asked. Before the domain passage was completely stable, there were restrictions. The stronger one was, the harder it was for them to pass. Thus they began to suspect. "Yes," Ding Sheng said directly. However, when he answered, his eyes flickered. Although it was very secretive, Su Qin's sharp senses had noticed it. "Looks like if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't tell the truth." Su Qin snorted coldly and pretended to attack again. "Don't touch me. I'll talk." Ding Sheng's expression changed drastically as he said in a trembling voice, "The reason Sovereign Gu did not enter, aside from the fact that the passageway has not stabilized, is because he is currently refining a divine artifact armor. Moreover, he has reached a critical moment and will succeed very soon." "Divine armor," Su Qin murmured, his brows furrowed. As a 3-star immortal realm expert, Gu Badian already had a sword of piercing heaven. If he could successfully refine a divine armor, he would no longer have any weaknesses. He could be said to have both offense and defense. His strength had undoubtedly soared by a great deal, and it was even infinitely close to the level of the 5th star of the deity realm. "It seems that I have to raise my cultivation base as soon as possible," Su Qin muttered. Knowing that Gu Badian had 2 divine artifacts brought him a lot of pressure. However, as long as he advanced to the deity realm, he still had a great chance of dealing with Gu Badian. Then he calmed down and continued to ask, "When will the 2-star immortal realm ferocious beasts from the vicious barbarian domain come?" "Continue to stabilize the domain passage for a period of time. They will be able to come in about a month." Ding Sheng began to explain honestly. Chapter 11:20. 1 month. Su Qin's eyes flashed slightly and then he punched out, smashing Ding Sheng's head. After collecting the fragments, he returned to the intelligent war chariot. "Su Qin, I didn't expect you to be so powerful." Wu Tsang sighed with shock still lingering on his face. Su Qin hadn't reached the immortal state yet, but he could easily kill a 1-star immortal state beast with a divine artifact. Once he reached the immortal state he might be able to fight Gubadian. Senior, you flatter me, Suchen said politely. Suchen, shouldn't we hurry up and seal the boundary passage? Wu Tsang reminded him again. Before Suchen gave a clear answer, Ding Xing had charged over. Senior, I don't plan to seal the boundary passage, Suchen said seriously. He wasn't a coward. No matter who it was, as long as they dared to provoke him, he had no intention of backing down. Moreover, he was waiting for more beasts to come in so that he could take the opportunity to kill them and accumulate some energy points. Don't seal it? Wu Tsang and the other two's faces changed. There were 100 immortal state beasts. Even if some were killed, there were still more than 80 left. Moreover, there was still Gubadian, a 3-star immortal state beast. Su Chen's strength was far beyond their imagination. But in their opinion, no matter how strong he was, he would never be Gubatian's match unless he reached the immortal state. Even if he reached the immortal state, he would at most be on par with Gubadian. Therefore, they couldn't understand Lin Yu's decision. Seniors, don't worry. Gubadian won't be able to enter in a short time. When he enters, I'll definitely reach the immortal state. In order to reassure Wu Tsang and the other two, Lin Yu told them that he was about to reach the immortal state. He had just killed Ding Sheng and obtained 50,000 to 60,000 fragments. If he decomposed the sky-splitting purple light spear and converted it into energy points, he would be able to exchange for a level 22 full attribute fragment with the energy points he had accumulated. You're going to reach the immortal state? Wu Tsang and the other two were pleasantly surprised. With Su Chen's potential and endless means, once he reached the Divine Realm, even if he faced some Divine Realm 2 stars ferocious beasts, he would be able to easily crush them. In that case, there was indeed no need to seal the realm passage for the time being. Thinking of this, Wu Tsang breathed a sigh of relief, but he was still worried. He said, Su Chen, it's okay not to seal it for the time being, but before the domain passage is completely stabilized, it's best to seal it. Senior, as long as I reach the immortal state, I'm confident that I can deal with Gubadian. Su Chen smiled. He thought that Wu Tsang was worried that he would not be Gubatian's opponent. You only know one thing and not the other. Wu Tsang smiled bitterly and explained, Gubadian is not only powerful but he is also very meticulous. Once he learns that so many God-state ferocious beasts have died, he might not come here. Isn't it a good thing that he doesn't enter? Su Chen asked curiously. Wu Tsang said again, he won't enter alone, but he will definitely invite experts to come with him, and the experts he invites will not be weaker than him. Su Chen was stunned. Wasn't Gubadian the only super expert among the ferocious beasts? Where could he invite experts of the same level? Could it be from other realms? Lin Yu suddenly had this idea. The universe was vast and boundless. Since there were the Zhenhuan realm and the vicious barbarian realm, there might be other realms. Thinking of this, he asked seriously, Senior, do you mean that Gubadian will invite experts from other realms? Chapter 11:21. Yes. Wu Tsang nodded and explained, there are 3 closest domains to our Zhenhuan domain, namely the Vicious Barbarian Domain, the Vast Thousand Domains, and the Twilight Domain. The Twilight Domain is a neutral domain, while the Vicious Barbarian Domain and the Vast Thousand Domains both want to invade our Zhenhuan domain. Experts from the Vast Thousand Domains participated in the war 10,000 years ago. Therefore, once Gubadian sends out an invitation, the experts from the Vast Thousand Domains will not refuse. By then you will not only be facing Gubadian alone. Hearing this, Su Chen's face became serious. If it was only Gubadian alone, he would not feel the slightest pressure. However, if it was 2 people like Gubadian, he would not have the slightest confidence. Unless he could raise his cultivation to the level of God Realm 2 stars. However, if he wanted to raise his cultivation to God Realm 2 stars, he would need a huge amount of energy points, possibly as much as 2 million. It was almost impossible to gather 2 million energy points in such a short period of time. What should I do? Su Chen narrowed his eyes and pondered. At present, the God Realm experts around him were Wu Tsang, the awakened divine beast, and the godly puppet of the machinery race. The awakened divine beast was not good at fighting, and its real fighting strength was equivalent to that of a saint level 10. The godly puppet was also ordinary, and its fighting strength was very limited. As for Wu Tsang with the Starry Sky 10,000-year wheel, it could deal with an ordinary God Realm 1 star, but it would be difficult to deal with a God Realm 2 star. Therefore he could not count on them and could only rely on himself. After pondering for a long time, Su Chen suddenly thought of the Intelligent War Chariot. The Intelligent War Chariot was only at level 21, and it was still far from its final form. It was not like the mechanical soldier, which was considered its final form at Saint level 10 and could not be upgraded anymore. However, the intelligent war chariot could continue to be upgraded. As long as it was upgraded to level 24, it could completely stop experts of Gu Baishan's level. Then he could take them out one by one and kill them one by one. However, the key point was that if the intelligent war chariot wanted to continue to upgrade, it no longer needed the mechanical heart, but an ore called Yuan Qingjing. He did not have a single piece of Yuan Qingjing on him, nor did he know where he had it. None of the people in the chaotic space knew about this. Even Venerable Xinyuan, an ancient powerhouse, did not know. From this, it could be seen how difficult it was to find Yuan Qingjing. But for now, the only way to deal with Gu Badian was to help the intelligent chariot level up. Su Chen asked Wu Tsang, "Senior, have you heard of Yuan Qingjing?" Yuan Qingjing is a top-grade ore. Its main function is to help puppets evolve. Its value is even higher than a mechanical heart. Wu Tsang seemed to know Yuan Qingjing very well as he slowly said, "You know." Su Chen's eyes suddenly lit up and he asked, "Senior, where can I find Yuan Qingjing? Our Zhenhuan domain doesn't have it, but the Twilight domain should have it." Wu Tsang pondered for a moment before replying. "Twilight domain," Su Chen whispered, then asked, "Elder, is there a passage that connects to the Twilight domain?" Since he knew the whereabouts of Yuan Qingjing, he must make a trip to the Twilight domain. "You want to go to the Twilight domain?" Wu Tsang was shocked. Entering the Twilight domain, he was bound to encounter danger, and he may even die there. In addition, once Su Chen leaves, who will preside over the overall situation here? What if the beasts come in? Chapter 11:22. Yes. Su Chen nodded and explained, "Yuan Qingjing is too important to me. As long as I can find enough Yuan Qingjing, I am confident that I can deal with Gu Badian and the others." Wu Tsang pondered for a while and said, "Su Chen, just seal the domain passage." He still did not want Su Chen to take the risk. After all, Su Chen was related to the life and death of the myriad races. Once something happened to Su Chen, the myriad races and even the entire Zhenhuan domain would fall apart. Instead of taking the risk, it was better to seal the domain passage and end it all. Su Chen shook his head, "Senior, if we retreat this time, we will never be able to stand up again. Moreover, if we seal the domain passage, how many years of peace will it bring us? 1,000 years or 10,000 years? If Gu Badian advances again or finds a way to open the domain passage and kills his way in, how will we face it?" Hearing this, Wu Tsang's face became solemn. Although Su Chen's words were somewhat alarmist, there was indeed such a possibility. If that day really came, the Zhenhuan domain would fall into eternal damnation. "Su Chen, if you leave, what if a God Realm 2-star beast kills his way in?" Wu Tsang said worriedly. He had already approved of Su Chen going to the Twilight domain, but he had to consider the future. Once a God Realm 2-star beast kills his way in, he alone would not be able to resist at all. Su Chen had long planned. He smiled and said, "Senior, don't worry, I will leave one of my avatars behind." The strength of the second primordial spirit was comparable to his. However, as a precaution, he would also leave behind 5,000 Thunder Sacred Swords. With the trump card, 10,000 swords in one, even if he faced Gu Badian, he would have a chance. In the short term, there would definitely be no problem. Avatar? Wu Tsang's brows knitted together. Of course he had heard of avatars. When some powerful people felt that there was no hope of advancing, in order to increase their strength, many people would choose to refine an avatar. However, the average doppelganger would only have half of the original body's strength. At most, it would not exceed 70%. Wasn't Su Chen taking things for granted by leaving behind a clone to deal with a Divine Realm 2 stars ferocious beast? "Senior, this clone of mine is different from other clones." A meaningful smile appeared on Su Chen's face. In order to make Wu Tsang feel at ease, he decided to let his second primordial spirit reveal its strength. Different? Wu Tsang was stunned. Was there a difference between clones? He was very doubtful about this. Su Chen did not explain any further. He pointed at Star Source Island and said in a low voice, "Senior, watch carefully." Wu Tsang and the other two's expressions tightened as they looked toward Star Source Island. All of a sudden, a 30-meter-tall figure appeared in the sky above Star Source Island. From his appearance, he looked exactly the same as Su Chen after his transformation. What was even more inconceivable was that the aura he emitted was at the 10th level of the Saint rank. He actually possesses 100% of the original body's cultivation. Wu Tsang's face was filled with shock. At this moment he finally understood why Su Chen said that his avatar was different. This was because a clone with the same strength as the original body was simply unheard of. It completely subverted his understanding. At this moment, the second primordial spirit standing in the sky above Star Source Island glanced down and punched out. In an instant, 100 millstone-sized golden fist shadows appeared in the air. Every fist shadow exuded an energy fluctuation that could destroy the heavens and earth. What a terrifying fist technique. Seeing this scene, Wu Tsang smacked his lips. Chapter 11:23. 100 golden fist shadows floated in the air and then flew towards Star Source Island like meteors. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, there was a loud noise on Star Source Island. It was as if 100 volcanoes had erupted at the same time, showing a scene of destruction. It's too terrifying. Wu Tsang and the other two were stunned. They were deeply shocked by the fact that a mere fist technique could produce such devastating destructive power. It was true that the Pegasus Meteor Fist was just a very ordinary fist technique. If it was used by others, it would definitely not have such power. Su Chen was different. Not only did he have the ancient God-fiend body, but he had also consumed the sturdy fruit many times. His physical body was as strong as a sage artifact. It was reasonable for the power of the Pegasus Meteor Fist to increase. However, no matter how powerful the Pegasus Meteor Fist was, it was impossible to kill all the void beasts on Star Source Island. After all, the area of Star Source Island was too large, comparable to a small continent. Su Chen did not expect the second primordial spirit to be able to destroy the void beasts on Star Source Island. Then he opened the chaos space in the pet breeding space. He summoned Qi Mufeng, the others, and all their spiritual pets. Wu Tsang was extremely surprised to see so many saint-level powerhouses. Venerable Xinyuan also frowned. Qi Qingxuan was relatively calm. After all, he had been in contact with Su Chen for a long time and had also stayed in the chaos space for a long time. He knew very well who was around Su Chen. Junior brother Su, what are your orders? Lung Mai took the lead and asked. After staying in the secret realm for 100 years and staying in the chaos space after coming out, they were a little bored. Su Chen stretched out his hand and pointed at Star Source Island, ordering, "Let's go together and kill all the void beasts on Star Source Island." Kill. Everyone and their spiritual pets rushed towards Star Source Island excitedly. They were all saint-level powerhouses and many of them were at stage 10. In the face of this force, not to mention the void beasts on Star Source Island, even a one-star deity realm expert would have to think twice. In order to speed up the hunt, Su Chen opened his storage bag and summoned this mechanical soldier, the golden puppet and the godly puppet to join the hunt. Su Chen and the godly puppet. Wu Tsang and the other two were once again shocked by Su Chen's methods. "Senior, please wait here for a moment. I'll be right back." Su Chen smiled faintly. Then, under the gaze of Wu Tsang and the other two, he landed on Star Source Island. With the addition of Su Chen, the speed of killing the void beasts increased. In less than 2 hours, the millions of void beasts on the huge Star Source Island were all slaughtered. Not a single one managed to escape alive. However, although many void beasts were killed, the fragments that were dropped were only a few 100,000. Su Chen collected all the fragments and exchanged them for energy points. Then he spent 1.5 million energy points to raise his cultivation level to God Realm 1 star. "I finally advanced." Su Chen let out a long sigh of relief. After advancing to the deity realm, he was confident. Now, even if he faced Gubadian, he was confident that he could kill him. After a while, he returned to the intelligent war chariot. In order to boost Wu Tsang's confidence, he did not hide his violent aura at all. Chapter 11:24. Su Chen, have you ascended to the divine state? Sensing the change in Su Chen's aura, Wu Tsang and the other two's eyes almost popped out. Previously, when Su Chen said that he would soon ascend to the divine state, they only took it as a joke and did not take it to heart at all. Who would have thought that Su Chen would ascend to the divine state as if it was as simple as eating and drinking? "I just ascended." Su Chen smiled faintly. "My God." After receiving Su Chen's affirmative answer, Venerable Shen Yuan opened his mouth wide and shouted in his heart, "A peerless genius." He remembered clearly that when he left the Void Secret Realm, Su Chen was clearly only a stage 10 sacred grade. In just a few days he had ascended to the divine state. This kind of advancement speed was simply insane and terrifying to the extreme. Venerable Shen Yuan was in a trance. Back then he was also known as a 1 in a million cultivation prodigy. However, it took him thousands of years to ascend from stage 10 sacred grade to the divine state, and he had consumed countless cultivation resources. On the other hand, Su Chen had easily ascended to the divine state. The gap between the two was like the difference between heaven and earth, like the difference between clouds and mud. Thousands of races have produced such a monstrous genius like Su Chen. What is a mere fierce beast? Venerable Xin Yuan was incomparably excited. Wu Tsang and Qi Qingchuan were also inexplicably excited. With Su Chen's strength, he was invincible in the same realm and could easily kill enemies of a higher realm. Even if he were to fight one-on-one with Gu Badian, he still had some chance of winning. As a result, the pressure brought to them by the vicious barbarian domain was greatly reduced. Of course, it was not realistic to completely change the passive situation in a short period of time. However, they finally saw a glimmer of hope. Su Chen put away his smile, faced Wu Tsang and said in a low voice, "Elder, is there a passage connecting to the twilight domain?" After ascending to the divine state, the second primordial spirit could completely guard the domain passage. Then, going to the twilight domain to find Luan Qingjing would have to be put on the agenda. Although we don't have much contact with the twilight domain, there is indeed a domain passage between us, Wu Tsang said slowly. He more or less understood Su Chen's character. Once he made up his mind, no one could stop him. Since that was the case, he didn't try to persuade him anymore. Su Chen's eyes lit up as he hurriedly asked, "Senior, where is the domain passage?" "Wind Rider Island, within the snowy mountain range." Wu Tsang replied and then reminded him, "There is a weapon spirit guarding the entrance of the domain passage. Only those who have his approval can enter." "Artifact spirit?" Su Chen raised his eyebrows. This was the first time he had heard the name of an artifact spirit. He could not help but look at Wu Tsang, waiting for his explanation. Wu Tsang said quickly, "A weapon spirit is a godly weapon. The weapon spirit in the Shuiyu mountain range is a spiritual mountain. In the Great War 10,000 years ago, its master fell and its body was severely damaged. In the end, only the artifact spirit managed to escape. However, although it has lost its body, its strength cannot be underestimated. It has at least a God Realm 1-star cultivation base." Hearing this, Su Chen was a little puzzled. Why didn't the purple light sky-splitting spear that he had snatched from Ding Sheng have a weapon spirit? Thinking of this, he asked, "Senior, don't all divine weapons have a weapon spirit?" The probability of a divine weapon being able to give birth to a weapon spirit is very low, and once it has a weapon spirit, the power that the divine weapon can exert will definitely be raised to a higher level, Wu Tsang explained. Oh. Su Chen suddenly understood and a thought suddenly came to his mind. He continued to ask, "Senior, if I find a suitable divine weapon body for the weapon spirit, is it possible to promote this divine weapon to a divine weapon?" His integrated 5 Extremes Mountain was a top divine weapon, and was also a spiritual mountain. It was very compatible with the original body of the weapon spirit. If he could integrate the weapon spirit into the integrated 5 Extremes Mountain, there may be unexpected gains. Chapter 11:25. If the compatibility is perfect, even if it can't be promoted to a divine artifact, the power it can unleash will definitely reach the level of a divine artifact, Wu Tsang said slowly. Hearing this, Su Chen's lips slowly curled up. Since the weapon spirit could increase the power of a divine artifact, whether it could be promoted to a divine artifact or not, he had to give it a try. Seeing Su Chen's expression, Wu Tsang vaguely guessed something and probed, "Su Chen, are you betting on the weapon spirit?" "Yes." Su Chen did not hide and said, "I have a divine artifact of the spiritual mountain and want to try." "It's okay to try." Wu Tsang nodded and then reminded, "But you must not use force. Once the weapon spirit is angered, it may even self-destruct." Once Su Chen's divine artifact merged with the weapon spirit, its strength would definitely increase again. This was what he wanted to see. But the weapon spirit of the Snow Mountain range was not something that could be subdued. Once it self-destructed, the entire Windguard Island would be destroyed and Su Chen would not be able to go to the Twilight region through the domain passage there. "Understood," Su Chen responded. In any case, the artifact spirit had the cultivation of deity realm 1-star. This kind of existence usually had its own dignity. If he forced it, it would only be counterproductive. He would only give it a try. If the weapon spirit did not agree, it could only be said that it was not fate yet. "Su Chen, when do you plan to go to Windguard Island?" The matter of the weapon spirit had come to an end and Wu Tsang asked about business. "The sooner the better. I plan to leave now." Su Chen thought for a moment and replied, Considering that it would take a long time to enter the Twilight region, he had to hurry. Do you need me to go with you? Wu Tsang asked again. No, I can do it alone, Su Chen replied. After all, Wu Tsang was the lord of all races and he could discuss matters with the second primordial spirit. Later, after getting the specific coordinates of Windguard Island from Wu Tsang, Su Chen drove the intelligent war chariot, and quickly flew to Windguard Island. Before he left, he only left his second primordial spirit behind. As for the others, they were all kept in the primal chaos space by his side. Windrider Island was very far away from Star Source Island. However, after the intelligent war chariot was upgraded to level 20, its speed was as fast as lightning. He estimated that he would arrive at Windrider Island in 3 days. On the way, Su Chen did not stay idle. He exchanged all the remaining energy points for constitution potions and gave them to the illusionary blazing feather divine dragon, pushing its cultivation to the 3rd stage of the holy rank in one fell swoop. Although there was still an unreachable distance from advancing to the divine realm, it was always good to be able to see progress. 3 days later, the intelligent war chariot successfully arrived at Windrider Island. Under the swift bird's perception, it quickly found the specific location of the interdomain passage, and also discovered an unusually powerful existence. There was no doubt that this existence was the artifact spirit. After the intelligent chariot stopped on a snowy mountain, Su Chen opened the door and walked out. Standing in midair, he narrowed his eyes and glanced down, saying loudly, "Senior artifact spirit, Su Chen of the human race is here to meet you. Another divine realm expert has advanced among the all races?" Suddenly, a soft sound of surprise floated from the depths of the snowy mountain and echoed in Su Chen's ears. Then, a green light shot out from the snowy mountain and flew to Su Chen, condensing in front of him and finally turning into a giant cyan ape that was 100 feet tall. Chapter 11:26. Su Chen, what are you here for? The giant cyan ape looked at Su Chen with great interest and asked in a low voice. Elder, I want to use the domain passage here to go to the Twilight Domain, Su Chen said bluntly. Because the giant cyan ape had participated in the Great War 10,000 years ago, he was still very respectful to the giant cyan ape. You want to go to the Twilight Domain? The giant cyan ape frowned and then said disdainfully, I advise you to give up this idea. What? Su Chen was puzzled. He was bound to go to the Twilight Domain and no one could stop him. Originally, he thought that it would be a very simple matter to borrow the domain passage. Unexpectedly, the giant cyan ape wanted to stop him. Do you know how dangerous the Twilight Domain is? The giant cyan ape sighed and continued, Don't think that just because you have advanced to the divine realm, you can dominate. In this world there are many people stronger than you. I am sure that as soon as you step into the Twilight Domain, you will soon be destroyed. The Twilight Domain is so dangerous? Su Chen was a little puzzled and asked, Elder, can you tell me the specific situation? With his current strength, even if he encountered Gubadian, he was confident that he could defeat or kill him. Could it be that there was an existence more powerful than Gubadian in the Twilight Domain? There are many Divine Realm experts in the Twilight Domain, and the strongest are 2 Divine Realm experts. Moreover, these 2 Divine Realm experts are leading their subordinates in a war. The Twilight Domain is now in a state of chaos. You, an outsider, have stepped in. No matter which side sees you, they will kill you. The giant cyan ape explained. Su Chen was just a newly advanced Divine Realm martial artist. Not to mention that he was no match for a Divine Realm 3-star martial artist. Even if he encountered a Divine Realm 2-star martial artist, it was unknown whether he could survive. The Twilight Domain is so powerful? Su Chen's expression flickered. There were 2 Divine Realm experts in the Twilight Domain, which was stronger than the vicious Barbarian Domain and the vast Thousand Domains. Fortunately, there was internal strife, otherwise the other domains would have been invaded by the Twilight Domain. How is it? Have you changed your mind now? The giant cyan ape asked calmly. In his view, by pointing out the strength and dangers of the Twilight Domain, Su Chen would definitely change his mind. Senior, I still have to make a trip to the Twilight Domain, Su Chen said firmly. You still want to go? The giant cyan ape didn't understand and asked, Aren't you afraid of death? Su Chen smiled faintly. Senior, don't worry. 3 stars of the Divine Realm can't threaten me. He didn't care about 1 God Realm 3 stars, but if he encountered 2 of them, even if he couldn't defeat them, they definitely couldn't kill him. Moreover, the 2 Divine Realm 3 stars of the Twilight Domain were in internal strife and would not join forces. In this way there would not be the slightest problem in the Twilight Domain. You sure know how to brag. The giant cyan ape's expression turned ugly. His original intention was also for the good of Su Chen. He did not want Su Chen to go to the Twilight Domain and die in vain. Who would have thought that Su Chen was such a boastful person? 1 star of the Divine Realm wanted to fight against a 3-star of the Mind God Realm? It was simply ridiculous. Su Chen rubbed his nose and said very calmly, "Senior, although I am 1 star of the Divine Realm, my real combat strength is far beyond that of the same level. Even against Gubadian, I have great confidence that I can kill him." Ah. Hearing this, the giant cyan ape's expression froze for a moment before he burst into laughter. 1 star of the Divine Realm killing a 3-star of the Divine Realm? Even in his dreams he wouldn't dare to think so. Su Chen, there is always someone better than you. You haven't seen the power of a 3-star of the Divine Realm. When you see it, it will be too late to regret. The giant cyan ape stopped laughing, shook his head and sighed. Su Chen did not seem to be very old. To be able to advance to the Divine Realm at this age, he indeed had the right to be proud. But to kill a 3-star of the Divine Realm was tantamount to wishful thinking. Chapter 11:27. Senior, why don't you spar with me? Su Chen suggested. The giant cyan ape was obviously looking down on him. If he didn't show some strength, it would be difficult to enter the Twilight Domain. You want to spar with me? The giant cyan ape's eyes widened with a look of surprise on his face. It was true that he was only a tool spirit now, but after all, he had experienced the Great War 10,000 years ago. His combat experience was extremely rich, and his strength was far beyond his peers. Su Chen was just a newly ascended Divine Realm expert, but he dared to spar with him. He was overestimating himself. However, he then thought that as long as he defeated Su Chen and let Su Chen realize that there was always someone better than him, he would give up going to the Twilight Domain. In this way, it could also be considered to have saved Su Chen's life in disguise. Thinking of this, he said faintly, "I promise you can use all your strength, I won't hurt you." Use all his strength? Su Chen shook his head and couldn't help but smile bitterly. The giant cyan ape obviously didn't know his bottom line. If he used all his strength he would be killed in one move. Su Chen naturally wouldn't do this. He chuckled, "Senior, then I won't be polite. Bring it on." The giant cyan ape didn't care, and there was even a trace of contempt in his eyes. Su Chen didn't talk anymore. A purple light flashed under his feet, and he disappeared in place. When he appeared again, he had already arrived in front of the giant cyan ape. At the same time, his mental power was released instantly, and he launched a drunken life from a distance. What a fast speed. The giant cyan ape raised his eyebrows. When he was about to counterattack, his soul suddenly shook and he fell into confusion. However, he was a veteran expert after all. His willpower was extremely tough and he soon broke free. You want to trap me with a mere divine ability? The giant cyan ape chuckled disdainfully. But the next moment his face suddenly changed. At this time he clearly felt that his whole body was bound by an invisible force. The power was so great that he couldn't move. Mental power. You're actually a God Realm Spirit Reader Master. The giant cyan ape lost its voice and roared in shock. Its heart was in turmoil. Even in ancient times, deity realm powerhouses with dual occupations were also existences that were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Every single one of them had strength that far surpassed those of the same level, and their reputations were awe-inspiring. He had never thought that Su Chen would actually be so powerful. Moreover, Su Chen's spiritual energy was definitely not as simple as 1 star of the Divine Realm. Because the spiritual energy of a 1 star of the Godly Realm was absolutely unable to restrict him to such an extent. It was also at this moment that Su Chen pointed a pitch-black long sword at the giant azure ape and said indifferently, "Senior, do you still want to continue? You actually have a Space Saint artifact." Sensing the terrifying space-tearing power from the chaos sky-splitting sword, the giant cyan ape swallowed hard with a complicated look on its face. At first he did not put Su Chen in his eyes at all. Unexpectedly, he was completely crushed by Su Chen as soon as he made a move. He could be said to be powerless to resist. It was equivalent to being slapped hard in the face and he was utterly humiliated. "I've lost." The giant cyan ape sighed deeply. Although he was extremely unwilling in his heart, the truth was right in front of him and he had to admit it. "Senior, thank you for letting me win." Su Chen smiled faintly and took back his spiritual energy and the chaos sky-splitting sword. Then he said again, "Senior, this time you should rest assured that I'll enter the sight region, right?" Chapter 1128. There are many existences stronger than me in the Twilight Domain. You can defeat me, but it doesn't mean you can defeat others. Moreover, I am just a weapon spirit who has lost my body. If there is a suitable body, you will definitely not be my opponent. The giant cyan ape said in a very unconvinced manner. In fact, after seeing Su Chen's strength, he thought that Su Chen shouldn't have too much of a problem entering the Twilight Domain. However, it was not easy for a powerhouse like Su Chen to appear in the myriad races. He didn't want Su Chen to take the risk. He was also thinking of ways to stop Su Chen from going. A suitable body? The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener took it seriously. Su Chen's eyes flickered and his thoughts slowly turned. Originally, he had the idea of subduing a weapon spirit. Wasn't this the right time? Senior, I happen to have a suitable body for you. You might as well give it a try. Su Chen said calmly. The giant cyan ape raised his eyebrows, looked at Su Chen in a daze and said disdainfully, "Do you know what kind of body I need? Do you think some mediocre things can enter my eyes?" Although he was just a weapon spirit, he was still very proud in his heart. To be suitable for his body, it must be a sacred weapon like a spirit mountain or a sacred weapon. And the quality must also be very high. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to exert his full strength. There were very few such things in the world, and he didn't think that Su Chen would have them. Senior, do you think this is suitable? Su Chen smiled faintly, then raised his hand and threw out the original 5 Extremes Mountain. As soon as the original 5 Extremes Mountain appeared, it instantly turned into 100 feet in size. It shone with 5 different colors, exuding magical fluctuations of 5 different attributes, giving people an unusually strong sense of shock. 5-element Spirit Mountain. You actually have such a good thing. The giant cyan ape's eyes widened, and there was a strange color in his eyes. As a weapon spirit, he naturally hoped to find a suitable body. Although he had yet to come into contact with the integrated 5 Extremes Mountain, he had an inexplicable feeling that it would definitely fit perfectly with the integrated 5 Extremes Mountain. Immediately he became excited. Looking at the giant green ape's expression, Su Chen's lips curled into an imperceptible smile. He then said indifferently, "Senior, why don't you give it a try? Su Chen, why do I feel like you planned this all along?" The giant green ape calmed down and said in a deep voice. Was it a coincidence that Su Chen could take out a spiritual mountain that was so compatible with him, or was it intentional? This caused him to mutter in his heart. "Senior, you worry too much. If you don't want to try it, I'll just put it away," Su Chen said casually. Through the changes in the giant cyan ape's expression, he determined that the giant cyan ape was definitely tempted and would not miss the opportunity to obtain a suitable main body. "Wait a minute." The giant cyan ape stopped him loudly and said, "There's no harm in trying." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned into a green light again and shot into the original 5 Extremes Mountain. All of a sudden there was a series of cracking sounds. The original 5 Extremes Mountain suddenly expanded to a size of 200 feet, and with a series of changes, it once again turned into the form of a giant ape. Compared to the previous giant cyan ape, the giant ape at this time was much bigger, and its entire body was surrounded by 5-colored flowing light, and an extremely terrifying pressure spread out from it. Judging from its aura, it had reached the level of God Realm 2 stars. Chapter 1129. It's really very suitable. I haven't experienced this feeling for a long time. The 5-colored giant ape laughed heartily. Seeing this, Su Chen's eyes also emitted a crystal light. The weapon spirit and the integrated 5 Extremes Mountain were perfectly compatible. Most of them were reluctant to leave the integrated 5 Extremes Mountain. And the integrated 5 Extremes Mountain was his. In this way, the weapon spirit was equivalent to being subdued. The power of the integrated 5 Extremes Mountain that had integrated with the weapon spirit had greatly increased, and his strength had also risen along with it. At this moment he was both excited and excited. "Su Chen, do you dare to fight with me now?" The 5-colored giant ape looked straight at Su Chen and vowed, "As long as you can defeat me, you can enter and exit the passage to the Twilight Domain." Although he was only at the God Realm 2 stars, his real combat strength was comparable to the God Realm 3 stars. If Su Chen could really defeat him, entering the Twilight Domain would absolutely not be the slightest problem. "Senior, I also want to make a bet with you," Su Chen said after a slight thought. "A bet?" The 5-colored giant ape pondered for a moment and then said, "Let's hear it." Su Chen coughed lightly and said solemnly, "If I can't defeat Senior, the integrated 5 Extremes Mountain will be given to Senior." Otherwise, I hope that Senior will follow me. To completely subdue the weapon spirit, he must make it willing. And defeating it through a bet was also fair and square. For an existence like the weapon spirit, as long as it agreed, it would not go back on its word. Good boy, you actually have this idea. The five-colored giant ape snorted and then said with a smile, I agree. He had thought it through. Whether he won or lost, it was actually good for him. If he won, he could get a perfectly compatible body. If he lost, it would prove that Su Chen was definitely a rare super genius in the world. Following such a character was not a shameful thing. Of course, he did not think that Su Chen had the ability to defeat him. Su Chen was overjoyed and said with a smile, since Senior has agreed, then Junior won't be polite. As soon as he finished speaking, he directly used the Atlas shape-shifting technique. After his body soared to 10 feet, his cultivation instantly advanced to the God Realm 2 stars. And the terrifying aura emanating from his body was even stronger than the five-colored giant ape. Shape-shifting technique. God Realm 2 stars. Seeing this, the five-colored ape's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He never thought that Su Chen actually had such a trump card. In this way, there might really be a possibility of defeating him. However, the five-colored giant ape was also a proud and haughty individual. How could it be suppressed by Su Chen's aura? Soon after, a strong fighting spirit was emitted from his body. Su Chen's, as a battle. The five-colored giant ape roared, clenched a huge fist, and smashed down towards Su Chen from the air. U5's strange smile flashed across Su Chen's mouth. Immediately after, he directly used the 100 times great strength technique, and golden scale arm. He also clenched a golden fist and directly bombarded the five-colored giant ape. You're still too young. The five-colored giant ape sighed softly. After fusing with the integrated 5 Extremes mountain, his defensive power was comparable to a divine weapon, and his strength had increased several times. It was no exaggeration to say that even a God Realm 3 stars strength was inferior to his. Su Chen actually chose to fight him head-on. He was simply overestimating himself. In the next moment, the two huge fists collided without any fancy moves. A loud rumble shook heaven and earth. The entire Wind Rider Island trembled violently. Chapter 1130. The five-colored ape suddenly felt an invincible force attacking it. Before it could react, it was blasted away like a shooting star. Rumble. On the way, it crashed through dozens of tall mountains. It flew for more than 1,000 meters before it stopped. Fortunately, its defense was comparable to a divine weapon. This level of impact was not enough to cause much damage to it. However, it was inevitable that it would embarrass itself. Good boy, why are you so powerful? The five-colored ape quickly flew out. It widened its eyes and stared at Su Chen. Its eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. After merging with the integrated 5 Extremes mountain, its power had surpassed the level of a 3-star immortal realm cultivator. However, in front of Su Chen, it was like an ant trying to shake a tree. They were not on the same level at all. Su Chen was only a human. How could he have such divine power? It's just a little trick. Senior, please don't laugh at me. Su Chen said lightly. After seeing that the five-colored ape was unscathed, he was not shocked but delighted. The more powerful the five-colored ape was, the more help it would be to him. At this moment, he was even more determined to subdue the five-colored ape. A little trick? The five-colored ape's face darkened. It said unhappily, so, you still have some tricks that you haven't used? After being sent flying by Su Chen's punch, it was clear that it was no match for Su Chen. However, it was impossible for it to admit defeat so easily. Senior, if you don't admit defeat, I can still take a look at it. Su Chen smiled faintly. The five-colored ape was obviously not convinced. Since that was the case, he might as well beat it until it was convinced. How arrogant. Then I'll take a look. The five-colored ape roared. In the next moment, a stream of five-colored flowing light condensed on its fist. It emitted 5 different magical waves of different attributes. Its aura was unusually powerful. Su Chen, take this. When the five-colored flowing light condensed to the extreme, the five-colored ape raised its hand and punched out. There was a loud explosion. The five-colored flowing light shot out like a five-colored river of stars, heading straight for Su Chen. In the face of such a violent attack, Su Chen's expression did not change at all. Since his debut, he had seen all kinds of storms and waves. Although the power of the five-colored flowing light was terrifying in his view, it was only twice as powerful as Ding Xing using the heaven-splitting violet light spear. At that time, when he was only at the deity realm 1 star, he dared to fight with his bare hands. Now that he had reached the level of God realm 2 stars, he didn't care about them at all. And this time he still had to take it with his bare hands. Firstly, he had the confidence to do so. Secondly, he could use this to completely intimidate the 5-colored giant ape. Petty tricks. Su Chen smiled contemptuously. He released his spiritual power and wrapped it around his hand. At the same time, he raised his golden palm and grabbed forward. What do you want? The 5-colored giant ape was dumbfounded. It was true that it wanted to compete with Su Chen, but it definitely didn't want Su Chen to get hurt because of this. But now, Su Chen actually wanted to take the 5-colored flowing light with his bare hands. Wasn't he courting death? However, the 5-colored flowing light had already been shot out. It was absolutely impossible to stop it. Did it have to watch Su Chen get blown to death? The 5-colored giant ape was annoyed. It shouted anxiously. Su Chen dodged quickly. Hearing this, Su Chen was unmoved. In the next moment, the 5-colored flowing light hit Su Chen's palm heavily. However, the expected scene of Su Chen being blown to pieces did not happen. Instead, the 5-colored flowing light was directly crushed by Su Chen after he grabbed it. That feeling was like pinching a balloon and bursting it. There was a loud bang. It did not cause any damage to Su Chen at all. Chapter 1131. Oh my God. The 5-colored ape's eyes widened, and its jaw almost dropped. Taking his strongest attack head-on with his bare hands was something that even a God Realm 3 stars expert wouldn't dare to think about. However, Su Chen did it and he looked very relaxed. How strong was Su Chen's physical defense? The 5-colored ape stared at Su Chen in a daze, and for a moment, it fell into a trance. Senior, you've attacked twice in a row. This time it's my turn to attack. Su Chen reminded it with a smile. Since he wanted to beat the 5-colored ape into submission, he had to attack at least once. You still have some tricks up your sleeve? The 5-colored ape was shocked. Su Chen's unparalleled strength and strong defense had already made it feel incredible. Did he have other tricks up his sleeve? Senior, if you admit defeat, I don't mind. Su Chen smiled but didn't say anything. Bring it on. The 5-colored ape gritted its teeth and said. His 2 attacks were easily neutralized by Su Chen, and he was also angry. He didn't believe that Su Chen could crush him with his defense that was comparable to a divine artifact. Then I won't hold back. The corners of Su Chen's mouth curled up, and then he displayed the 10,000 lights 10 shadows fighting technique. In an instant, 10 shadows that looked exactly like him appeared in the air, and each of them exuded an extremely violent aura. In addition to the 10,000 swords in one and the astral storm, the 10,000 lights fighting skill and the combination of 3 types of magic could be considered a second-grade attack. The 10,000 lights 10 shadows fighting technique was even more shocking, and it was perfect to deal with the 5-colored giant ape. What kind of magic is this? The 5-colored ape opened its eyes wide, and its body trembled slightly. Originally, it was very confident in its defense. However, after seeing 10 Su Chen appear at once, its confidence was completely shattered. 1 Su Chen was enough to make him suffer. 11 Su Chens joining forces to attack him, wouldn't he be blasted into ashes? At this moment, it was extremely anxious and was considering whether to surrender or not. Suddenly, it sensed several types of magic fluctuations. What was going on? The 5-colored ape's expression froze, and it subconsciously looked up. When it saw the 5 Su Chens releasing their respective spells, its eyelids twitched violently. Spiritual psychic? Su Chen was also an all-element spiritual psychic? And he had reached the divine state. At that moment, the 5-colored ape's thoughts came to a halt. Thinking that Su Chen was a divine state evolver and a spiritual psychic, didn't that mean that Su Chen was a full-time cultivator? And he had reached the divine state? It was terrifying. Since ancient times, there had never been such a monster. Stop. I admit defeat. Realizing that Su Chen was a full-time divine state existence, the 5-colored ape no longer cared about its face and shouted loudly. Su Chen smiled faintly and stopped what he was doing. His main purpose was to subdue the weapon spirit. So far, it seemed that he had left an indelible impression on the other party. Since he had achieved his goal, there was no need to make a move. Soon, the 10 phantoms disappeared in mid-air. Su Chen also stopped the Atlas shape-shifting and returned to his original appearance. Su Chen, are you really a human? The 5-colored ape looked at Su Chen and probed. The human race could only be regarded as a very ordinary race. How could there be a peerless genius like Su Chen? It now suspected that Su Chen was a descendant of one of those super races. It's the real deal. Su Chen said affirmatively. Although he had transmigrated, he was indeed a human. There was no doubt about that. Chapter 1132. It's really the human race, the five-colored giant ape muttered involuntarily. 10,000 years ago, the human race also had several godly state experts and was considered a large race among the tens of thousands of races. But no matter who it was, the difference between them and Su Chen was not small. They were not on the same level at all. Senior, shouldn't we go to the Twilight Domain? Su Chen took a breath and said. Time waits for no man. Since the artifact spirit had been subdued, he had to hurry up and get down to business. The five-colored giant ape recovered and asked, Su Chen, why do you want to enter the Twilight Domain? He had wanted to ask about this for a long time but never had the chance. Since he had decided to follow Su Chen, there were some things that he naturally had to ask. Su Chen did not hide anything and told him about the invasion of the Zhenhuan Domain by the vicious barbarian domain and the search for Luan Qingjing in the Twilight Domain. I see. The five-colored giant ape came to a realization and was filled with respect for Su Chen. In the face of the oppression of the two domains, Su Chen did not shrink back and did not give up the Zhenhuan Domain. This was the same as what they did to resist the invasion of the vicious barbarian domain 10,000 years ago. Moreover, the pressure Su Chen had to bear was even heavier because he was fighting against two domains alone. Senior, do you know Luan Qingjing? Su Chen asked. The Twilight Domain was vaster than the Zhenhuan Domain. If he did not have an accurate target and searched everywhere, he did not know how long it would take to find her. Time did not allow him to do so at all. There should be Luan Qingjing in the Qinghe clan. The five-colored giant ape thought for a moment and said, The Qinghe clan, Su Chen whispered and asked, Senior, how is the relationship between the Qinghe clan and our Zhenhuan Domain? The five-colored giant ape had said before that there were only two races in the Twilight Domain and they had fallen into internal strife. If the relationship between the Qinghe clan and the Zhenhuan Domain was good, they could join forces with the Qinghe clan to destroy the other race. In return, the Qinghe clan should give him some Luan Qingjing. There was even a high possibility that they could invite the Qinghe clan's God Realm 3 stars to help them. The Qinghe clan has a pretty good relationship with us, the five-colored ape said slowly. That makes things easier. Su Chen nodded and asked, What about the other race? The other clan is called the Red Devil clan. They are closer to the ferocious barbarian domain and are hostile to us. If it weren't for the Qinghe clan, they might have joined forces with the ferocious barbarian domain to deal with us, the five-colored giant ape said. Hearing this, Su Chen's eyes flashed with a cold light. He had originally planned to join forces with the Qinghe clan to destroy the Red Devil clan. When he learned that the Red Devil clan was hostile to the Zhenhuan domain, he had an excuse to do so. Senior, there's no time to lose. Let's go to the Twilight Domain, Su Chen said. The five-colored ape nodded and turned back into a palm-sized five-colored mountain. It flew into Su Chen's hand. His body was too big. If he did not shrink, he would not be able to pass through the domain passage. Su Chen put away the intelligent war chariot, and held the five-colored mountain with one hand. He went into the domain passage and soon disappeared. After a whirlwind, Lin Yu appeared in a stone cave. It was dark all around and it was difficult to see with the naked eye. However, for Su Chen who had mental strength, it was the same whether there was light or not. Through the observation of his mental strength, Su Chen quickly found the exit and left the stone cave. The moment he came out, he suddenly found that he was in a group of meteorites. Chapter 1133. Su Chen narrowed his eyes and glanced around. He quickly took out the intelligent war chariot and said, Satoshi, search the surroundings. Yes. The intelligent war chariot began to search quickly. After a few breaths, it replied, Master, there are tens of thousands of aliens fighting on a huge island 1,000 kilometers away from the meteorite group. Hearing this, Su Chen's heart skipped a beat. In the Twilight Domain, the aliens fighting each other must be the Qinghe clan and the Red Demon clan. Thinking of this, he continued to order, Satoshi, check the strongest among them. Soon, the intelligent war chariot replied, Master, the strongest are 2 3-star God Realm experts. In addition, there are dozens of 1-star and 2-star God Realm experts. There are 3-star God Realm experts? Su Chen's expression froze. He had learned from the device spirit that the Qinghe clan and the Red Demon clan each had a 3-star God Realm expert. This meant that on that island, these two major clans were likely to have an ultimate showdown. However, it was still unknown which of the two clans was stronger for the time being. Su Chen pondered for a while and said, "Satoshi, go into flight mode and transmit the image." Yes. The intelligent war chariot soon became dozens of meters in size. Su Chen entered it and looked at the central control screen first. On a gigantic island in the void, the entire sky was filled with scenes of the mutated races slaughtering one another. The lowest cultivation level of these aliens was at the sage stage. The battle was also extremely fierce. From time to time, someone would be blown up and die on the spot. Su Chen noticed that the side that had the absolute initiative was a 2-meter-tall alien with dark red skin and 2 long and narrow ears. The ones who were in a passive position were some aliens with bluish skin and relatively short ears. Most of the people who were killed were their clansmen. Because Su Chen had never seen the Qinghe clan and the Red Demon clan, he could not tell them apart for the time being. After thinking for a moment, he said to the 5-colored mountain in his hand, "Senior, take a look at the central control screen. Which side is the Qinghe clan?" The 5-colored mountain flashed, and 2 eyes as big as copper bells appeared from within. They glanced at the central control screen and replied, "Su Chen, those green-skinned ones are from the Qinghe clan. In that case, the Qinghe clan has fallen into a passive position." Su Chen's eyes showed a thoughtful look. Since the Qinghe clan was in a passive position, he would be providing timely assistance if he went over to help. After defeating the Red Demon clan, it should not be a big problem to ask for some Wanqing crystals from the Qinghe clan. Su Chen, the patriarch of the Qinghe clan Zhang Qingquan, is in danger. The artifact spirit suddenly reminded. Su Chen hurriedly looked at the central control screen and saw a white-haired elder from the Qinghe clan being slashed to the island by a man from the Red Demon clan who was the size of a small mountain. The violent impact shattered a large part of the island, and the shock wave also affected hundreds of Qinghe clan members, tearing them into pieces on the spot. After landing, Zhang Qingquan opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was dispirited. After suffering such a heavy blow, he was obviously seriously injured. Is the Red Demon clan's 3-star god realm so strong? Su Chen frowned slightly. They were both 3-star god realm, but Zhang Qingquan was beaten until he almost lost his ability to fight. The difference in strength was too great. The artifact spirit reminded, Zhang Qingquan and Pang Hui of the Red Demon clan are about the same in strength. The reason why he was crushed is very likely that Pang Hui's saber is a top-grade divine weapon. Hearing this, Su Chen nodded. The power of a divine weapon was very great and he had seen it before. If Pang Hui had a top-grade divine weapon, he could indeed suppress Zhang Qingquan. It was reasonable for him to severely injure Zhang Qingquan with one blow. Chapter 1134. Su Chen did not want the Qinghe clan to be defeated, nor would he watch Zhang Qingquan be killed. He directly ordered the intelligent war chariot, "Satoshi, kill them." Yes. The intelligent war chariot drove at full speed and sped toward the giant island. In its level 20 form, its speed was extremely fast, and it covered 1,000 kilometers in the blink of an eye. The sudden appearance of a white spaceship stunned the people of the Qinghe clan and the Red Demon clan. When Lin Yu walked out of the intelligent war chariot, the people of the two clans were extremely surprised. In the Twilight Domain there were only 2 clans. Judging from Su Chen's appearance, he was obviously an outsider. "Boy, which domain are you from? What are you here for?" Pang Hui stared at Su Chen intently, and his voice was unusually cold. Since Su Chen was emitting the aura of a godly state expert, he did not attack Su Chen immediately for the sake of caution. "I'm from the human clan of the Zhenhuan domain. My purpose here is very simple. I want to cooperate." Under the gaze of the experts, Su Chen's face did not change as he said calmly, "Zhenhuan domain?" The people of the Qinghe clan and the Red Demon clan both revealed strange expressions. They had heard of the Zhenhuan domain before. It was a very low-level domain. Especially after the great battle 10,000 years ago, almost all the godly state experts had fallen. It was rumored that there were only 2 or 3 godly state experts among the tens of thousands of clans in the Zhenhuan domain. It could be said that every godly state expert was the guardian of the Zhenhuan domain and would not leave easily. Then why did this human godly state expert dare to come to the Twilight domain? Was he not afraid of being killed? Pang Hui looked at Su Chen again and said with interest, "Boy, tell me what you want to cooperate with." "The person I want to cooperate with is not you." Su Chen smiled faintly, then looked at Zhang Qingquan and said seriously, "Clan leader Zhang, I want to join forces with your Qinghe clan to kill the Red Demon clan. What do you think?" kill the Red Demon clan? As soon as these words came out, the surroundings suddenly fell silent. Everyone looked at Su Chen in a daze, their expressions were very complicated. Judging from the aura emitted from Su Chen's body, he was only slightly stronger than God Realm 1 star. He definitely wasn't at God Realm 2 stars. With this bit of strength, he dared to claim that he could kill the Red Fiend race? How ridiculous was this? Zhang Qingquan swallowed his saliva and smiled bitterly. My human friend, I would like to cooperate with you, but I'm afraid it's impossible to exterminate the Red Demon race. If Su Chen was a God Realm 3 stars existence, perhaps there would be a glimmer of hope. The key point was that Su Chen wasn't even at God Realm 2 stars. In front of Peng Hui, he was no different from an ant. What was the point of working together? However, Su Chen was here to help, so he couldn't say anything too unpleasant. Clan leader Zhang, you may not know my strength well enough. In fact, I am quite confident in dealing with a Divine Realm 3 stars. Su Chen rubbed his nose and said calmly. Zhang Qingquan was dumbfounded. A God Realm 1 star had the confidence to kill a God Realm 3 stars? Was this young man's brain damaged? Ha! The people of the Red Devil clan laughed unscrupulously. Originally, he thought that Su Chen was just an arrogant person who had not seen the world. He didn't expect that he was a fool. A God Realm 1 star wanted to kill a God Realm 3 stars. This idea was simply insane to the extreme. Kid, you are very interesting, but you have also successfully angered me. For this, I will make you regret living in this world. Peng Hui stopped laughing and his face was full of coldness. As soon as he finished speaking, he gave a look to a God Realm 2 star Red Demon clan member beside him. Chapter 1135. The latter understood tacitly. He raised a stone hammer the size of a millstone and rushed towards Su Chen. As a 2-star God Realm powerhouse, he was as fast as lightning and arrived in front of Su Chen in the blink of an eye. Brat! Go to hell. The 2-star God Realm Red Demon smiled ferociously and smashed the stone hammer in his hand down. All of a sudden, a mournful howl rang out in the void. In the face of this powerful hammer, Su Chen's face was emotionless. Just as the hammer was about to hit him, he raised his hand to grab it. He used the golden scale arm and 100 times strength technique at the same time. What was he trying to do? Seeing this scene, there were exclamations all around. Whether it was the Qinghe clan or the Red Demon clan, they were all dumbfounded. They saw clearly that Su Chen was preparing to grab the stone hammer with his bare hands. But how dare Su Chen do this? One had to know how powerful a 2-star God Realm powerhouse was. In addition, the stone hammer itself was also a sacred weapon. This hammer had earth-shattering power. Not to mention that Su Chen's cultivation was only at the 1-star God Realm. Even Peng Hui, who was at the 3-star God Realm, did not dare to take it with his bare hands. Could it be that he was crazy and wanted to court death? This thought appeared in everyone's mind. The 2-star God Realm Red Demon clan member was also stunned for a moment, but he quickly recovered. It didn't matter if Su Chen was scared silly or crazy. As long as this hammer fell, it would definitely smash Su Chen into pieces. Die. The 2-star God Realm Red Demon clan member roared and used all his strength to smash the hammer on Su Chen's palm. There was a loud bang. The stone hammer the size of a millstone smashed heavily on Su Chen's palm, splashing out a ball of resplendent golden light. However, to everyone's astonishment, Li Qia's expression changed drastically. The expected situation of Su Chen being smashed into powder did not happen. Su Chen was like a towering mountain, standing in the void without moving an inch. Not only did the stone hammer not cause any ripples when it landed on his palm, it was also immobilized by his grip. Moreover, looking at Su Chen's expression, it seemed that he didn't use any strength at all. He looked abnormally relaxed. Oh my God! How did he do it? Just how strong was his body and strength? Witnessing this scene, everyone was stunned. He even wondered if he was dreaming. How can he be so strong? Peng Hui swallowed his saliva, and his expression became abnormally solemn. At first, he completely regarded Su Chen as an ant. Unexpectedly, the strength that Su Chen displayed was beyond imagination. Although he was only at the God Realm 1 star, relying on his valiant physique and unparalleled strength, it was enough to pose a threat to him. Compared to Peng Hui's solemn mood, Zhang Qingquan's eyes were sparkling. Su Chen's strength was so strong. If they joined forces, they might really have a chance of survival. On the other side, Su Chen took advantage of the 2-star God Realm Red Demon clan members' absent-mindedness to suddenly exert force and snatch the sacred weapon stone hammer, throwing it into the storage bag. A sacred weapon could be broken down and converted into energy points. The sacred weapon used by a God Realm expert must be of very high quality, and the energy points that could be broken down and converted would definitely not be little. Of course he wouldn't miss this opportunity. The 2-star God Realm Red Demon clan member was shocked. Losing the sacred weapon, his combat power dropped drastically. Facing Su Qin, this unfathomable expert, he no longer had the heart to underestimate him. However, before he could react, he felt a majestic force surrounding him and binding him in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1136. Mind Power. Godly State Spirit Reader Master. Realizing that Su Qin was also a Godly State Spirit Reader Master, the Red Demon was so scared that his liver and guts were torn apart. He struggled with all his might. However, he was shocked to find that he could not break free in a short time. It was true that Su Qin's Spirit Reader Master cultivation was only at Godly State 1 star. However, after consuming the Essence Origin fruit several times, the strength of his mind power had already surpassed the level of Godly State 2 stars. That was why he could bind the other party until he could not move. At this moment, Su Qin held a pitch-black saber and slashed down quickly. A cold light flashed in mid-air, and the head of the Red Demon flew into the sky. Accompanying it were about 100,000 shards of various colors that shone with a luster. Although he had expected that killing the Red Demon might also drop shards. However, when he really saw it, Su Qin still could not hide his excitement. There were thousands of Red Demons present. If all of them were killed, the number of shards that would drop could almost exceed 1,000,000. Although this number was not enough for him to advance to Godly State 2 stars, it was enough to advance the illusionary Blaze-Feathered Divine Dragon to the level of a divine beast. In this way his strength would definitely rise along with it. Hiss. At the same time, with the death of the Red Demon 2 stars, there was a sound of cold air being sucked in from the surroundings. Everyone looked at Su Qin with deep shock in their eyes. They had never thought that Su Qin, who was only at Godly State 1 star, could easily kill a Godly State 2 stars expert. This made them feel incomparably incredulous. It's actually so easy to kill an enemy of a higher level. After witnessing Su Qin's unparalleled strength, Pang Hui's expression became even more solemn. His evaluation of Su Qin also increased a little. With the strength that Su Qin had displayed so far, he could indeed compete with him. So strong. Zhang Qingquan was extremely excited. The stronger Su Qin was, the greater the chances of their Qinghe clan surviving. Boy, I have to say that you are indeed very strong and qualified to fight with me. But if you want to defeat me, it's no different from wishful thinking. Pang Hui glared at Su Qin, his face gradually turning cold. It was one thing for Su Qin to be qualified to fight with him, but it was another thing for him to defeat him. In his opinion, Su Qin could totally be called the #1 powerhouse below Deity Realm 3 stars. However, there was still a gap between him and the 3-star God Realm. At least he was slightly weaker than Zhang Qingquan. On the other hand, he could easily crush Zhang Qingquan. Comparing the two, it was not difficult to crush Su Qin. Is that so? Su Qin smiled contemptuously and said coolly, "Do you think that you can posture in front of me just because you're Deity Realm 3 star? You still have a long way to go. Is there a need to be so arrogant?" Zhang Qingquan couldn't help but click his tongue. Indeed, Su Qin was very strong. He was invincible among those of the same level, and it was easy for him to kill enemies of a higher level. But no matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be a match for a Deity Realm 3 stars, right? Was it really a good idea to anger Pang Hui like this? Was he fearless? Or is ignorance not guilty? Wildly arrogant. The group of Red Fiend clan members were agitated and started cursing one after another. Pang Hui had always been an invincible existence in their eyes. But Su Qin dared to humiliate him to his face. Simply had no idea of death and danger. "Boy, I'm not afraid of you being stubborn. In a while, I'll let you know the outcome of offending me." Pang Hui's fury reached the peak. A monstrous killing intent rolled endlessly like the sea waves. His gaze when looking at Su Qin was bone-piercing iciness. "Stop hooting. Bring it on. See how I'll take care of you." Su Qin was somewhat impatient. Pang Hui kept talking and did not make a move. He already did not plan on letting Pang Hui continue pretending. Chapter 1137. Then you can go to hell. Pang Hui could no longer hold back the anger in his heart. He roared and charged toward Su Qin. As he approached, he raised his divine artifact long blade and slashed down at Su Qin, vowing to cut Su Qin into pieces with one slash. Su Qin was fearless. He raised his hand and threw out the five-colored mountain. Suddenly, the five-colored mountain expanded to 20 feet in size. It was glowing with five-colored light and emitted a terrifying magic wave. Moreover, one could vaguely see the shadow of a giant ape pounding its chest and roaring at the sky. Although the primordial Five Extremes mountain had not reached the level of a divine weapon, after fusing with the weapon spirit, the power it could produce had already surpassed that of an ordinary divine weapon. Even if it did not reach the level of a top divine weapon, it was not far from it. There was a loud bang. The divine weapon saber slashed heavily on the five-colored mountain. Heaven and earth shook and the void distorted. The five-colored mountain was in a stalemate for a while. Then, it trembled violently and was finally sent flying by the saber. "Ah, brat, do you think you can show off in front of me just because you have a spiritual mountain comparable to a divine weapon? I'd like to see what other tricks you have." Peng Hui laughed unscrupulously. He instinctively thought that Su Chen was so arrogant because he had a spiritual mountain. Now that the spiritual mountain was sent flying by the saber, Su Chen was reduced to a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. "You're too naive." A hint of mockery appeared on Su Chen's face. As soon as he finished speaking, his body quickly grew taller, and in the blink of an eye, he became 100 feet tall. His entire body was rippling with a layer of majestic pressure. His cultivation had reached the level of God Realm 2 stars. Transformation technique. God Realm 2 stars. Sensing the change in Su Chen's aura, the surrounding Qinghe clan and Red Fiend clan members roared in shock. Su Chen had strength that far surpassed his peers. Now that he had advanced to God Realm 2 stars, he might really be able to wrestle with Peng Hui. So this is his real trump card. Zhang Qingquan was extremely excited. At first he also felt that Su Chen was boasting too much. Unexpectedly, Su Chen still had such a powerful trump card. After thinking about Su Chen's powerful fighting strength, he felt that Peng Hui might not be a match for Su Chen. The hope of survival rekindled in his heart. 2 stars of the divine realm. The smile on Peng Hui's face completely disappeared and was replaced by a deep seriousness. Whatever Zhang Qingquan could think of, he could too. Su Chen, who advanced to Deity Realm 2 stars, absolutely had the qualifications to go head-to-head with him. Su Chen narrowed his eyes as he scanned Peng Hui. Suddenly he punched out from afar. This punch seemed ordinary, but in fact it wasn't. He had already unleashed the concept-level magical power, Drunken Life. Being targeted by this strange attack, Peng Hui felt his soul tremble. By the time he realized that something was wrong, Su Chen had already arrived in front of him like a ghost. Petty tricks. Peng Hui was indeed an expert of Deity Realm 3 stars. His willpower was quite strong. He gritted his teeth and quickly recovered. Then he raised his divine weapon long saber. Just as he was about to slash down, his vision suddenly blurred. He saw Su Chen turn into 2 into 4. In the blink of an eye, 10 shadows that were exactly the same as Su Chen appeared. As an avatar? Peng Hui was slightly stunned. The next moment his expression changed drastically. Because he could clearly feel that the cultivation bases of the 10 shadows had all reached Deity Realm 2 stars. Moreover, these 10 shadows and Su Chen's original body joined forces to surround him and immediately launched an attack. Moreover, what was even more unbelievable was that 5 of the phantoms were casting spells of various elements, while the other 5 were all casting spiritual power. Su Chen's original body held a pitch-black long sword and slashed down from the sky. Chapter 1138. Witnessing this scene, the onlookers from the 2 clans were all dumbfounded. Even Zhang Qingquan, who was at God State 3 stars, had his mouth wide open. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. It was already shocking that Su Chen could create 10 phantoms with the same strength. What was even more terrifying was that he was a full-time cultivator and had reached the God state. Moreover, he was an all-element Dharma psychic. Unbelievable. Unimaginable. Even though he had lived for tens of thousands of years, he had never seen a cultivator with such terrifying talent. Not to mention seeing it, he had never heard of it. Just when everyone was in a daze, Su Chen launched a brazen attack. The mind power that was like a vast ocean first bound Peng Hui, and then 5 spells blasted on Peng Hui's body one after another. Boom, boom, in a series of earth-shattering explosions, Peng Hui's figure was completely drowned out. Su Chen's main body held the chaos sky-splitting sword in his hand and slashed out a huge pitch-black vortex in the air. It emitted an extremely terrifying space-tearing force and slowly fell from above Peng Hui's head. Sizzle! Peng Hui let out a heart-wrenching howl amidst a series of tearing sounds. Ah! The howl shook the sky as if it contained some kind of power, causing those who heard it to tremble involuntarily. Because Su Chen's strength was too strong, he was not affected. However, after glancing at Pang Hui, his brows furrowed slightly. After suffering a round of violent attacks, Pang Hui's clothes were ragged and his hair was disheveled. He looked very miserable. However, his aura was still powerful. This meant that Pang Hui did not suffer any substantial injuries and still had the strength to fight. Our clan leader is mighty. Our clan leader is domineering. Sensing that Pang Hui's aura was still very strong, the group of red demons roared excitedly. On the other hand, the Qinghe clan members all looked extremely solemn. Originally, they thought that Su Chen's unparalleled attack could at least seriously injure Pang Hui even if it could not kill him. They did not expect Pang Hui's strength to be far beyond their imagination. He was actually able to withstand it with just his physical body. If even such a divine ability couldn't kill Pang Hui, would Su Chen still have a chance? At this moment, the members of the Qinghe clan no longer thought highly of Su Chen. They believed that Su Chen was at his wit's end and would soon be killed by Pang Hui. Sigh. Zhang Qingquan let out a long sigh, his face filled with loneliness. Similarly, he did not think that Su Chen would have a chance. With Su Chen's defeat, their Qinghe clan would be completely eradicated. As expected of a Divine Realm 3 stars expert, Su Chen sighed with emotion. For the first time, a trace of seriousness appeared on his face. Pang Hui was able to withstand the blow of the fighting skill of 10,000 lights 10 shadows. His physical strength was as strong as his. He could indeed be regarded as a strong opponent. Brat, this is your strongest trump card, right? You want to kill me with this little bit of strength? Pang Hui laughed wildly and wantonly. After blocking Su Chen's fatal blow, his confidence was bursting. He no longer took Su Chen seriously. Do you think that's all I have? Su Chen pursed his lips and smiled faintly. Admittedly, the fighting skill of 10,000 lights 10 shadows was a powerful trump card, but it was not his most powerful one. The Astral Storm and the unification of 10,000 swords were his real trump cards. You still have a trump card? Pang Hui was shocked. Su Chen had shown enough means and each of them was more powerful than the last. In particular, the blow just now almost took his life. If he still had a trump card, how powerful would it be? Would he be able to withstand it? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.